City Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Yes. Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Suffredin.
Aye.
Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite. Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
And we have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Clerk. We have all of our aldermen, and I'm expecting Alderman Braithwaite will be joining us shortly. I'm going to ask Alderman Wilson if you'll move a motion suspending the rules and allowing for remote participation.
I move that we suspend the rules to allow us to conduct a meeting utilizing the Zoom teleconference software in lieu of an in-person meeting in conformance with the governor's prior directives related to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Second.
All right, seeing no conversation, City Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Suffredin.
Aye.
Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Fleming.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite. Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
And Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Clerk. So on an 8-0 vote, the Evanston City Council has passed the motion to allow for a virtual meeting, and that's because we still are in the midst of COVID-19, although I think all of us are seeing the light somewhere at the end of the tunnel. And I'll give a quick update shortly on that. The first item of business today, though, is a public hearing for an educational facility for revenue bonds. I am going to read a statement that is required as part of this meeting. So good evening, everyone. I am Mayor Haggerty, Mayor of the City of Evanston, Illinois, duly appointed by the city to be the hearing officer for this public hearing. It is now 5:48 p.m. on Monday, March 22nd, 2021, and I call this public hearing to order. This is a public hearing being held by toll-free conference call and by free Zoom video conference using the toll-free telephone numbers or the Zoom World Wide Web address and entering a meeting ID and a passcode. All is shown in the notice of the hearing referenced below. For the proposed, and that would be referenced as we posted this on the city's website as well. For the proposed issuance by the city of a not to exceed $11 million aggregate principal amount of educational facility revenue bonds for the benefit of Roycemore School, an Illinois not-for-profit corporation located here in the city. The city will lend the proceeds of the bonds to Roycemore to allow Roycemore to refinance certain costs of certain projects located in the city as more fully described in the public notice. Roycemore is the owner and the user of the facilities being refinanced with proceeds of the bonds. As the conduit issuer for the bonds, the city assumes no liability. I want to stress that, no liability for the bonds or the payment of debt service for the bonds. The public notice of this hearing was published in the Chicago Sun-Times on March 10th, 2021. Does anyone present via teleconference wish to speak or express their views for or against the proposed bonds? I'm going to ask now, because I haven't seen it if it was emailed to me yet, Luke Stowe, whether we've had anyone sign up to speak at this public hearing.
Hi, Mayor. I believe there are two commenters for the public hearing.
And who are they?
I believe Carlos Sutton is the first speaker.
Okay. Welcome, Carlos.
Good evening. I want to take this opportunity, thank you, to have my opinion expressed. I'm adamantly opposed to any bond hearing that will fund a private school. In the transparency of equity, anytime you vote to support a private school and will not support a school for public children to attend in the 5th Ward, I think it's the height of hypocrisy, and it's the height of the kinds of things that we're trying to move away from the city. So I don't think this should be considered in any capacity. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Carlos. Next speaker, Luke.
Kathleen Scheidt.
All right. Welcome, Kathleen.
Thank you. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Mayor Haggerty. I am commenting this evening in favor of the educational facility revenue bonds for Royce-Moore School. Full disclosure, my name is Kathleen Scheid. I'm a long-term resident of Evanston. I'm a parent of Royce-Moore students, and I'm a member of the Royce-Moore Board of Trustees. And I appreciate Mr. Sutton's view, but I wanted to reiterate that the city is not lending money to Royce-Moore. It's merely serving as a conduit to enable Royce-Moore to sell the bonds to investors who are private parties who are investing in the school to gain tax-exempt interest on their investment. So again, it's not an obligation of Evanston. It's not a liability of Evanston. It's purely a conduit to support the organization of Royce-Moore School, which has been part of the Evanston community since 1915. In fact, it was founded by Evanstonians and it has been a long, strong citizen of the community. This is a common activity for municipalities to issue revenue bonds for the favor of certain designated not-for-profit entities. And in fact, Royce-Moore is paying a fee to the city of Evanston to help cover its cost and time incurred in the issuance. And I also wanted to explain for those who are not very familiar with Royce-Moore that in fact, we do have a very diverse student body. I won't go into statistics, but our demographics demonstrate the school's very strong, long commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And part of that is the fact that about 48% of Royce-Moore students receive financial aid from the school. So my purpose here this evening is to voice my support for this bond issuance, extend my appreciation to the city council for holding this hearing and offering this opportunity. It will be a fantastic opportunity for private funds to come into Evanston to continue to support an institution that's been an important part of the community for over 105 years. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Kathleen. Luke Stowe, I understand we have two more speakers for this hearing.
That's correct. Adrian Odell and Mike Casocco.
All right. Welcome, Adrian.
I thank you, Mayor.
Adrian, we're having a hard time hearing. I don't know if it's just me. I think it's others too. Yeah. Adrian,
Students that nearly 50%. I apologize.
Adrian, if there's another number you want to call back on or try on, we'll stay open for a minute to do that. I'm going to turn to Mike Vasilko now for public comment at this public hearing. And also I want to acknowledge we now have Alderman Braithwaite with us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is really inappropriate for the city to be funding a private entity, even though, the claims about, we're just a conduit, so they get a better deal. That's inappropriate. The city doesn't do that for any other private organization or school, in a less fortunate neighborhood. It's really borderline kind of a racist approach to funding, and it should just not be the way the city does business. The hearing, I didn't know I had to sign up separately for this hearing. I signed up for the city council, so Luke was kind enough to put me on the list at short notice here, but that really wasn't enough notice to get people to sign up for public comment. And it's just inappropriate in a big way. And some of the aldermen should really be ashamed if they support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Adrian, if you have a better connection, I just wanted to give you one more chance to speak.
Thank you, Alderman. Thank you, Mayor. Is that better?
That is better, yes. Adrian, now it's not better. Now we can't hear anything. We can't hear anything you're saying.
Maybe she can.
So yes, I'm in the school of Royce-Moore School for trustees press.
Okay.
All right. So just for folks that are watching, Adrian Finley Odell is the principal of Royce Moore School. So she was calling in similar to Kathleen in support of it, just to explain a few things. This item also is found on the city council agenda. So when we get to that on the agenda, if any aldermen want to pull it off to have a discussion about it, perhaps Adrian will have a better connection at that point.
We have one more comment, Mayor.
There's another speaker.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Anthony Chambers.
All right. Welcome, Anthony.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
We can, yes.
Great,
welcome.
thank you so much. My name is Anthony Chambers, and I am speaking also in favor of this. And in full disclosure, I am also a parent of a daughter who's at Royce Moore, and I'm on the board of trustees for Royce Moore School. I'm a longtime resident of Evanston. My wife and I have been here for almost 20 years and plan to retire here. This is definitely our home, and we are proud Evanstonians. My wife and I, we chose to have our daughter attend Royce Moore because of its incredibly strong commitment to diversity. As Kathleen was mentioning earlier, we have almost 48% of our students who are receiving financial aid. And in terms of diversity, almost 50% of our students of color at Royce Moore. And obviously, my wife and I have a daughter there, and she just absolutely adores it. It's really a place where the diversity and the welcoming of the community is interwoven into the fabric of Royce Moore. And it's something that is just really an important piece for why we chose to have our daughter attend Royce Moore. We've also had a very long commitment in the Evanston community. It's involved with the YWCA, the Race Against Hate, Stand Up Against Racism, the Evanston Public Library. We just had a long tradition of really being involved in the Evanston community, and we see this obviously as a big part of our home, and really can't speak strongly enough about what this will do for the entire school and to be able to continue our commitment to working with all students, and particularly also making sure that this is the place where students of color can be able to go, and students, also students, families who are financial aid, because that really is a very strong commitment to make sure we have economic diversity in addition to diversity. So again, to be able to express our strong support, and thank you for taking the time to listen.
Thank you, Anthony. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in this public comment or this public hearing?
Mayor, are you including the council members?
I wasn't including the council members because this right here was just, I was told for public comment, and that the item is on the agenda. So when we get to the agenda, if any council members want to pull it off, we can just talk about it then, because it will be voted on at that time. It's not being voted on right now.
Okay, and I guess I don't necessarily want to pull it off, but I'm also a member of the public too. So just throw in a couple of cents here. But notwithstanding the fact that people keep saying this over and over again, and it's simply not true, we are not giving money to the school. We are not funding the private school. We are not obligated to pay the bonds. It's simply not true. This is a financial tool that we are actually getting compensated for. So rather than us giving money to them, they are actually giving us money. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, so that we don't all respectively get, comments tomorrow that we're paying for a private school and we're not doing that. So I just wanted to share my comment on that.
Thank you, Alderman. Anyone else to speak in this public hearing?
Yeah, I'd just like to respond to that.
Go ahead, Mike. I'll let you. Go ahead.
Well, simply said, if it's such a low key thing to do, why aren't you doing it for all of the unfortunate parts of the city that aren't as financially as astute as the people in the 4th Ward near Royce Moore School? Why isn't it being done in all the other wards? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So just on that point, because I know that there are others that have that question. City Manager Storley with us. We did talk about this last year when this went through because there were a couple concerns. One was the processing cost to the city for this loan, and I understand that's been addressed this year. And then there was the question about equity and fairness, and can other institutions also use this kind of financing source through the city? So, Ms. Storley, if you would just address that.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Erica Storley, City Manager. We did put a page up on our website after the last one of these, when there was a lot of interest from the public on what these were and how do people access them. So there is information related to how to utilize this financial tool on our website for those that are eligible for it. We have not received any other interest at this point in time, but we have not, just want to be clear that if people were to come to us for this, we would take all of those to the City Council, and we have received none others at this point in time.
Okay, thank you for that, Erica. All right. Hearing no further additional people that want to speak.
We have one more. We have one more, Mayor. I'm sorry. We do. I want to make sure if anyone else have interest, please raise your hand now so that we can identify you. But Mayor, we have Carolyn Murray on the raised her hand to speak.
Okay, welcome, Carolyn.
Hi, thank you, Mayor Haggerty. I really did sign up to make a comment on a non-agenda item. I'm sorry, on an agenda item later. So please don't use this as the comment.
This isn't your comment time for public comment.
Thank you. So I just wanted to just ask a question, because we have the Family Focus in the 5th Ward. Would they be eligible for something like this? Because I know that the funding was an issue in Family Focus for a period of time. It's a comment and a question, I guess.
Okay, I'd have to ask Miss Storley if she knows, again, based on the guidelines that are put up there. Again, and these aren't guidelines, I don't think, that are set by the city of Evanston. I mean, these are outside third bodies that set these guidelines, because any city can do this. This isn't unique to Evanston. Ms. Storley?
I was going to have to defer to our Chief Financial Officer, Hitesh Desai, to answer that one.
Thank you. Welcome, Hitesh.
Hey, good evening, Mayor and the members of the City Council. So yes, again, the organizations have to go through, first qualify them for the debt, and it will be based on their finances, their financial situation, and their ratings. Here again, when we do the Royce-Moore, or even in the past when we did the Caravelle, it's not driven by the city of Evanston finances or our ratings. It is the organizations. And there are certain restrictions who can qualify for this kind of conduit debt. So we can work with if they are interested, and if they approach us, we can work with our bond counsel and see whether they would be eligible for the conduit debt.
Okay, thank you, Hitesh. So the bottom line is, if there are entities in Evanston that are interested in this, please reach out to our CFO, Hitesh Desai, and he can provide more information on that. Is there any other commenters for this public hearing? Okay. Having heard from all present, the opportunity for public comment is now closed. I note for the record that any written comments received by the city clerk will be included in the minutes for this hearing. It is now 6:04 p.m. and this hearing is adjourned. We're now going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is mayor announcements. A few announcements today. First, I want to acknowledge violence that occurred in our own community a week ago with the loss of 2 young people in our community, DeMarcus Coakley and Jose Francisco Sanchez Guerrero. And the violence in Atlanta towards primarily Asian Americans who were killed there. I want to make it clear that we continue as a city to have lots of work to do in our city to eradicate hate to work with our young people and support our young people and help people with conflict resolution. I do want the public to know in terms of the hate that's been directed towards Asian Americans, and we've seen that increase, across the country. That I did talk with our police chief, Demetrius Cook, about that, and our city manager. We in Evanston have not seen any kind of increase there. In fact, there hasn't been any reported Asian, racial hate reported to the Evanston Police Department. That doesn't mean that hasn't occurred in our community, but it's been several years before an incident was reported. And I just want everyone that is of, Asian descent in our community to know that this is a welcoming community for everyone, that we have no tolerance for hate towards anyone here in Evanston, and we will always support you. The same goes for our young people that live in all the different wards in our community. Some wards, there's more violence certainly than others. I want to acknowledge our police department, who is working hard to solve the crime and the homicides. I want to acknowledge our youth and young adult division that is out there and working as well with the young people in our community. We have to give people opportunities, and we have more work to do. And I know when we have call awards tonight, I expect a few aldermen will also want to talk about this as well. But that's the first thing I just want to say a few words about. Second is we'll move to some positive news. I want to give a shout out to the Evanston Township High School's mock trial team, who took first place in the virtual 2021 Illinois State Bar Association High School Mock Trial Invitational. That team from Evanston is now preparing for the national competition in May. They are the #1 team here in Illinois. The ISBA event provides an opportunity for students to learn what it's like to prepare and present a legal case before the Illinois courts. Through the mock trial experience, students learn to work as a team, develop oral presentation skills, set goals, plan effectively, think on their feet, face challenging obstacles with enthusiasm and confidence. This is the first time an ETHS mock trial team has won the state championship. Team members of that team included India Aaron, Rory Bame, Kitty Colton, Josie Hansen, Clive Harvey, Jesse Kaiser, Grace McKinley, Sydney Termullen, Alosa Tires, and Coco Walker. The team is coached by Kevin Kapik, and just a big congratulations on behalf of the entire Evanston City Council on this first place finish and first time that ETHS has won the state championship. So that's wonderful news to share. I'm going to move to other positive news, particularly since 2 weeks ago. And that news is related to our vaccination efforts here in Evanston. As folks know, 2 weeks ago, there was a level of frustration that I and others had about the number of vaccines that we were getting here in Evanston allocated to us for our mass vac events. But also frustration that our residents weren't able to register with Cook County's mass vaccination. Since that time, I am pleased to announce that the Cook County mass vaccination sites are now open for Evanston residents who are eligible in Phase 1B to register. So that is really positive news. That happened thanks to the good work of lots and lots of elected officials and others at our county level, state level, and here in Evanston to make that happen. So a big thank you to President Tony Preckwinkle and Illinois Department of Public Health, who also advocated on behalf of Evanston residents being included. So that is good news. Second bit of good news is that our school teachers with District 65 and 202, not only our teachers, but our staff have been vaccinated. There was a specific event for educators and staff yesterday. On Sunday, a big shout out and thank you to Walgreens Health Solutions, which is a small veteran-owned company right here in Evanston, who helped facilitate getting Walgreens, the corporate Walgreens that we all know and go to do a special vaccination event for our teachers. So thank you to Walgreens Health Solutions. They worked with our public health department and our superintendents at District 65 and 202 to make that happen. So that is good news. What that means is it means that we then can use more of the vaccines that we receive, our public health department, to make sure that we're getting other essential workers within phase 1B vaccinated. Now for the third bit of good news, which is I want to run through the number of Evanstonians that have been vaccinated. Again, 2 weeks ago, there was a level of frustration here that we didn't know the number. And the reality is it was sort of a bit of a black box at the time because there are so many different paths and routes to get vaccinated through different channels. We now are starting to get that data from the Illinois Department of Public Health. So thank you to our public health team that has been working closely with IDPH. The numbers in Evanston, over 37,000 Evanston residents, that's 16 years of age and older, have been vaccinated, either a first or a second dose. They were vaccinated from various providers, including our own point of distribution. 94% of 65 and older adults in Evanston have been vaccinated. So very, very good results there. 59% of people 65 and older have been vaccinated with their second dose here in Evanston. We will work. I know we have a dashboard up on the Evanston site. If you go to cityofelvanston.org/vaccines, there's a dashboard. Just like at the beginning of the pandemic, we are going to be updating and improving that dashboard as we get more data available to us. So our IT department is working on that. And that will also include race data, which I know many people are interested in seeing that as well. We have reached 65 and older here in Evanston. We are having a combined event tomorrow, which will include some 65 years of age and older adults, essential workers in 1B, such as grocery store workers, teachers, because they could be teachers at other districts that live here who weren't included in the District 65 202 Walgreens event. Those in manufacturing, postal, and public transit workers. We are entering phase 1B plus. Okay, this Thursday, we will start 1B plus. This will include the oldest among the group and work in a descending order in age. Amita St. Francis, who's been a wonderful partner helping us disseminate some of the vaccines, particularly the Pfizer vaccines, which are a little more complicated, is planning to assist us again this Friday, Thursday and Friday for those in the 1B plus. We are still finalizing plans and will be certain by tomorrow morning. And so what I'm reading to you is a report that I just received just before the meeting from our public health director, Ike Ogbo. A reminder to everyone, you need to fill out the contact form, which over 60,000 people have filled out the contact form. And it's based on the contact form that our health department will reach out to you and say, okay, you're now eligible for registration, and they'll provide a link and then you register from there. Events this week, Tuesday, so tomorrow we will have at one of our community centers, a 65 and older adults, essential workers in 1B. I mentioned that. Thursday and Friday, tentatively, will be Amita doing 1B plus residents. Thursday, we'll have our final congregate home second dose vaccinations for Connections for the Homeless and the YMCA. And then Friday, we hope to have a combined event, which will include essential workers in 1B and those in 1B plus. Lastly, you might be saying, okay, Mayor, I got all these, you're rattling off all these statistics, but how many people in Evanston, percentage-wise, who are eligible have received a first dose and then a second dose. We've had 39% who have received a first dose in Evanston, and 22% have received their second dose. We're making good progress as a city, much better than I think any of us realized a couple of weeks ago, when all we were looking at was the city of Evanston point of distribution data. And so again, I credit this to the fact that there's many routes to getting vaccinated, and our residents who are eligible have been taking those different pathways to get vaccinated. Lastly, I just want to talk about the fact that the state issued a state bridge and reopening plan. If you remember phase 5, there's a 5-step phase to our recovery. And this came out of the governor's office in Illinois IDPH. That phase 5 is a complete reopening of our economy. And per this bridge plan, Illinois will move to the bridge phase when 70% of the population, 65 years and older, has received at least 1 dose of vaccine, into phase 5. Okay, so the bridge is between 4 and 5. And to phase 5 when 50% of the population, 16 years and older, has received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. So again, Evanston is doing well, but again, I believe that those, the state bridge plan and the reopening plan will be based on our EMS region. So we are part of a much larger region. And so it's not just going to be Evanston on its own having hit that mark, but we're going to need others to hit that mark. Our focus will continue to be to try and get our residents vaccinated as quickly as possible. So that's the update on vaccinations. I'm just going to pause for 1 second just to see if any of the council members have any questions about vaccinations. Okay, seeing none, I'm not going to go through the statistics on the number of COVID cases, other than to say continue to wear your mask, continue to follow public health protocols, social distance, all of that. We're not at the end yet. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We don't want it to dim. So please keep doing that. The statistics continue to look positive here in Evanston in terms of number of cases are really low. Our positivity rate is really low as well. That concludes my remarks today under mayor announcements. I'm now going to turn to the city manager for any announcements she has.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 3 announcements this evening. The first one is a presentation to our police department. The police department has been undergoing a process to get accredited, which is a very long and complex process. They've been working on it for over a year, and we are happy to report that they have earned the accreditation, and they are here tonight to receive this. So I'm going to hand it over at this point in time to Chief Cook for the announcement.
Good evening, Mayor Haggerty, City Manager Erica Storley, Clerk Reed, and members of the City Council. I'm proud to be here today with some of my colleagues. Ms. Brown, she's a sergeant with the Evanston Police Department. Grace Carmichael, who is one of our patrol officers, and Sarah Jones, who is our record manager and our accreditation manager. And to my right here, I have Chief Mitchell Davis, who's a police chief in Hazel Crest, Illinois. He's currently the first vice president of the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police. And on April 30th, he'll be the first African-American appointed as president of the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police. And I'm glad to have him here. And the reason we are here tonight is we embarked upon an accreditation process a little bit over a year ago. And the objective of going through this process was to show the professionalism, the integrity, and the forward thinking of the members of our department. We went through the process where all of our general orders were certified by the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police. Our use of force policy, which was a Lexapol policy, and it was crafted up by the N3 Policy Center at Northwestern University with attorney Soledad A. McGrath and sociology professor Andrew Papachristos. they put our general order in a light that was really post George Floyd and progressive. That report has been disseminated to many departments because they were very interested in what Dr. Papachristos and Ms. McGrath had put in our general order that pushed President Obama to tweet about the Evanston general order. So it was a collaborative event to do this. No one person in the Evanston Police Department could undertake such an accomplishment alone. It was the effort of many in this police department. And tonight, even though I'm accepting it on behalf of the members of the Evanston Police Department.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, citizens. As you heard, my name is Mitchell Davis with the Hazel Crest Police Department. Last time I was up here to see the chief be sworn in. So it's an honor to be back. I guess I'm kind of biased about this young man here. He's a personal friend of mine, and he's just a tremendous chief. You all know the gym that you have, and he's progressive, and he just does tremendous things as a leader, and most of all as a great person. So it's my honor on behalf of the Illinois Chiefs Association to bring this plaque for certification and award it to him and the Evanston Police Department. And I don't have my glasses on, so I'm gonna try to read this. So if I have to use don't laugh at me. The Illinois Law Enforcement Accreditation Program, Evanston Police Department. The Illinois Accreditation Council verifies that the Evanston, Illinois Police Department has policies, procedures, and daily routines that achieve the level of Tier 2, which is the highest level. This signifies that the department is in full compliance with the professional standards of modern law enforcement. Accredited February 23rd, 2021, Demetrius Cook, Chief of Police, Sarah Jones, Accreditation Manager. And the Illinois Accreditation Council consists of the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police, the Illinois City County Management Association, Intergovernmental Risk Management Agency, Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, Northwestern University Center for Public Safety, and UIC Center for Public Safety and Justice. And I believe the manager already said that this is a tremendous process. It's a lengthy process and it's very detailed. And this group of folks that did what was required to get the level 2 certification has just done a tremendous job and is something for you and your town to be proud of. It just goes along with all the other tremendous accomplishments that this chief and this department have already done. So as the incoming president of the Illinois Chiefs, I sincerely award this to you and your department.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I want to personally thank our accreditation manager. She put in a lot of hours organizing. There were computer-based processes that we could have utilized, but we chose to go the manual route so we'll really know what's in the requirements for the accreditation so that this process can continue far after I'm no longer the police chief here. My goal is to put the Evanston Police Department in the best light possible. And these people that are here to my left are the future of the police department. And I thank them individually for the work that they do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chief, and congratulations. It's a wonderful accomplishment.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, City Manager Storley.
My next announcement is in regards to Earth Month coming up in April, and Kumar Jensen, our Chief Resilience and Sustainability Officer, is here to speak to that item.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the Council, Manager Storley, and Clerk Reed. I need access to be able to share my screen. I have a 2 or 3 slide presentation, but I am here to talk about the upcoming events that we have scheduled for Earth Month. So April is Earth Month each year, and this year we have there are dozens of events that will be taking place throughout Evanston. I'm highlighting a few here that are sort of larger events. The first is we're going to do a kickoff on Thursday the 1st. It's going to be on Zoom. Each Friday internally for city staff, we're actually going to be doing lunch and learn. So it's going to be sort of these 30-minute lightning rounds where city staff will get to hear a little bit about how we're implementing the Climate Action and Resilience Plan, and we'll also hear from some other departments on what they're doing related to that. On April 15th, the public will get to grill me in a live streamed climate coffee with Kumar. So bring your questions. That'll be on Zoom, but also live streamed on Facebook Live. And then the week, Earth Week, which is the 19th through the 24th, there are going to be a bunch of different events. The majority of them are going to be virtual, and one of our local community organizations, Citizens Greener Evanston, is going to be hosting quite a few events that week. And so you'll be able to find that information on our website. And then on the 24th, there are a couple activities that will be taking place in person, very similar to what we've had in years past and we did not have in 2020, but there'll be family-friendly activities at the Ecology Center, there'll be a tree planting in the Latin Arboretum, and residents will be able to pick up bags and gloves if they would like to do self-organized cleanups in their neighborhoods. They will be able to pick up those materials for free at the Ecology Center and at the Robert Crown Community Center and Library branch the week of April 19th, all the way through Saturday. And there's more information on a press release and on the city's webpage that is set up for these events. The full schedule is at cityofelvanston.org/Earth Month. And then we'll also be, throughout the month of April, holding a few different challenges. These challenges are meant to educate people, but they're also meant to keep people engaged and around the topics related to climate change and nature. One of the ones I'm really looking forward to is the Nature Photo Challenge, and there will be prizes for that. So stay tuned. We will be doing these over a variety of different platforms. So this won't just be on Facebook. It'll be a couple different ways to do that. We're trying to encourage people to stay active and stay safe as a part of their celebration. So we're not doing any big events. Even outside, a lot of the things we're doing are distributed or virtual. So I also, Manager Storley, if I had a moment, I just wanted to let the council know that there are also 2 communications they should be made aware of that will be coming related to some of our new energy programs. I have a very brief slide on that if you'll permit me another moment. Excellent. So as most of you are aware, we have 2 new and revamped programs for renewable energy coming out in the coming weeks. The first is an upgrade to our electricity aggregation program, and the second is the launch of our community solar program. And so in the beginning of April, residents will be receiving the typical letters that they receive from our aggregation program. And so these are letters notifying them that they have the opportunity to opt out or remain in the program. And then similarly, a few days earlier, residents will also be receiving postcards advertising the city's community solar program. That community solar offer is a little tentative. We're hoping it'll be the 5th, but it may be a little bit delayed. And I just wanted to give you all the heads up that there will be some communications coming from the city, but they'll also be coming from our supplier for both of these programs. And that energy company is called MC² Energy Services. And we'll be doing many of these things to make sure everyone is aware. We'll have the information up on the website and press releases. So thank you for your time, and we look forward to celebrating Earth Day with all of you. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Kumar. Very much looking forward to those activities. My final announcement this evening is in regards to the very large stimulus bill that was passed by President Biden on March 11th, the American Rescue Plan Act. So there is a component of that act that deals with direct aid to local governments. Evanston will be receiving by 60 days of the passage of the bill, so approximately around mid-May, 50% of our allotment in that bill, which we're estimating at around $45 million. So that is our total that we've been given to receive 60 or 50% of that in 60 days, around mid-March. These are grants that are being provided to state and local governments so that they can offset revenue loss and continue operations. We've had to do a lot of cost-cutting measures over the course of the past year, as we are all aware, because we had such a dramatic decrease in our revenue. So this is something that we had talked about a lot last year, hoping that it was going to come to fruition, and it actually did, which we're very appreciative of our federal legislators who worked so hard to get this bill passed. It's going to be transformational in regards to how it will allow us to recover as a city, and how it will allow us to continue to provide the services that we provide to the community on a day-to-day basis. There's a lot of guidelines around how this money can be spent, and we'll be spending a lot of time working with the council and the community over the coming months to put forward a strategy on how to leverage this funding to recover our community in the best way we can. So I'm very much looking forward to working on that and wanting everybody to understand that every penny will be spent to the best of our ability so that we can make sure that our recovery sets us up for long-term success and also helps us weather any future storms that may come. So that is my announcements for this evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Storley. We're now going to move to City Clerk announcements. I think there's an election about to happen. City Clerk, welcome.
Yes, in fact, the election is, I'd like to say well underway, but I'm almost unbelieving of the Cook County's reporting on early voter turnout today. I don't know if there is an error, but it says that 20 Evanstonians early voted today, which is heartbreaking, Evanston. So I'm hoping that there's some technological error and more than 20 folks voted today. But if not, it is time to encourage your neighbors to get out and early vote. We have on the ballot, the city clerk's office, which is contested. All of the aldermanic seats except for the 9th Ward are contested. And then separate of the municipality on the ballot, folks will see District 65 and 202 candidates, and District 65 is contested. So Evanstonians, I encourage you to get out and vote. Early voting started today, which is March 22nd, and will continue all the way until April 5th. Folks can early vote at the Civic Center, which is 2100 Ridge. You can request your mail-in ballot up until April 1st. If you need to find the link, you can do that on the Cook County Clerk's website, or you can follow directions that are found on the City Clerk's website under voting information. There will not be drop boxes available at either early voting or at polling locations. The drop boxes were available only because of a temporary piece of legislation that was passed by the Illinois General Assembly. And so we hope that will return because it seemed to play a large role in helping drive turnout earlier and making voting convenient for folks. But if folks want to utilize a drop box, you can do so at the closest location is Skokie Courthouse. So if you requested a mail-in ballot and you have it and you want to get it in, you can drop it off there. Folks also should be aware that you can utilize same-day voter registration. I'm sorry, Alderman Fisk, did you have a question?
I do at the end.
Oh.
At the end, Clerk Reed.
Okay, folks can utilize a same-day voter registration at either early voting or their local polling location on election day. So folks can use same-day voter registration and register and vote all at the same time at their polling place. I'll go ahead and take the question, Alderman Fisk.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Clerk Reed. Have you heard anything from the county clerk about when mail-in ballots will be delivered?
Oh, yes. Good question. So the county clerk's office held a press conference today, I believe, and they announced that we're seeing a record number of mail-in ballots being requested across the county for suburban municipal elections, which is expected, during COVID and post the November election. And the county clerk's office alerted us that folks should be receiving the mail-in ballots. I believe next week is later this week or next week. So be on the lookout very shortly. Folks should be receiving them within the next week. which again isn't soon enough for me, but you know.
Thank you, Clerk Reed. Are there any other questions
Yes.
about the upcoming election? Okay, go ahead, Clerk.
Okay, well, that is the information on the election. So again, please encourage your neighbors to get out. Oh, and I apologize. Ridgeville Park District is also on the ballot for South Evanston, and that's an uncontested race as well. We have received a large number of communications relating to our reparations measure that is SP3 that is on the ballot or on the agenda for tonight, both in support and opposition to the current proposal. So all of those comments will be entered onto the record for the council and for future generations to look back at. So
Thank you.
If any member would like, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Clerk. And they were provided to the council members before this meeting to look at as well, correct?
Yes, unless we received, them just recently.
Yeah,
yes,
right.
they've been mostly forwarded to the council.
Okay. Anything else, Clerk?
No, that is it. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you, Clerk Reed, and get out there and vote and do your civic duty. We are now going to move to public comment. Per our Evanston City Council rules, we set aside 45 minutes for public comment. We take the number of people that have signed up for public comment, divide it by the time, and that's how much time everyone receives. This evening, we have 62 people that have signed up for public comment. So I'm going to set aside 45 seconds for each speaker. This evening, we have had instances before where we've had this many speakers on different issues. We have a lot of different issues, including reparations on the agenda this evening. So we have 63 speakers. Each speaker will be given 45 seconds. I will time the 45 seconds, and when it's up, I will say thank you, and I'll say your first name, and then we're going to have to move on to the next speaker. I do ask everybody to be respectful. There's lots of folks that want to share their opinion with the City Council on a variety of issues. You may have already written something that's 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Figure out what the key point is that you want to get across in those 45 seconds, and please focus on that. If somebody else has already gotten up and said what you wanted to say, it's fine to get up and say, I agree with Phil. I think the same thing that Phil thinks. That is good as well. And so just please try to be strategic and timely in your comments. So
Mayor Haggerty.
Yes, sir.
I apologize. I didn't know that this was going to be the case. May I recommend, and up to the council, that given the weight of the topic tonight, that we maybe give folks at least a minute and ask folks to maybe defer their time if they feel they don't need to make a statement, and maybe work it out so it can stay somewhere close to 45 minutes, but suspend the rules and allow for a minute and a half.
No, an alderman would have to move that motion if they want to change our rules from 45 minutes.
45 seconds.
A motion that we give people 60 seconds today.
Is there a second to Alderman Fleming's motion?
Second.
Oh, okay.
I second that.
All right. Any discussion on that?
Mayor Haggerty, that particular motion will be out of order. There needs to be a motion to suspend the rules.
Yes.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll take a motion to suspend the rules first, and we'll do that vote. Okay. Seeing no discussion, Alderman Fleming, you want to move the motion to suspend the rules, and we'll get a second.
Motion to suspend the rules for 60 seconds each person tonight.
Second.
Okay. All right. Seeing no discussion, City Clerk, could you take the roll on that motion?
Alderman Fisk.
Sorry, aye.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Suffredin.
Aye.
Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey,
Aye.
and Alderman Fleming.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Nick, is that good enough? We don't have to take another vote to do the 60 seconds, do we?
No, the rule has been suspended.
Rule has been suspended, and we're going to allow 1 minute. So everybody got 15 extra seconds on a 9-0 vote by the City Council to set aside today's 60 total minutes. And so 1 minute per person. All right, I will rattle off 3 names in a row so you know when you're coming up. We're going to start with, and I apologize out front if I mispronounce people's names. We're going to start with Dr. Sandy Darity, Kristen Mullen, and Amadou Drame. So Dr. Darity.
Thank you very much. I'm Kirsten Mullen, the founding director of Artifactual, an arts consulting firm. There are some admirable efforts made by municipalities to atone for the damages caused by their own race-based policies. However, it is unfortunate when those acts of atonement are confused with reparations. African American reparations must have 4 central components. First, it must be designated for Black Americans who are descended from persons who were enslaved in the United States, specifically descendants of the newly emancipated who were denied the 40-acre land grants for restitution, as restitution for the years of bondage. In addition, it must address the atrocities that followed the end of slavery, including nearly a century of legal segregation in the United States, sustained white violence, and ongoing anti-Black discrimination. Second, it must be designed to eliminate racial wealth differences in the United States by building Black assets to a level comparable to those held by the average white household. The staggering Black-white wealth gap is a premier economic indicator of the cumulative intergenerational effects of racial injustice in the U.S. Current estimates indicate that erasing the Black-white wealth gap would require an expenditure of at least $10 to $12 trillion. Third, it requires direct payments to be made to eligible recipients. This has been the norm in other instances of restitution. 2 examples are the German government's payments to victims of the Holocaust and the U.S. government's payment to Japanese Americans who were illegally subjected to mass incarceration during World War II.
Thank you. We're at our time. I'm sorry. I know it's short for everybody. We've got to stick with a minute. So, Kristen, I had you second, and I had Dr. Darity, Sandy Darity first. Is okay. Do you want to take the other minute? Because I have it down. Okay, so you have a minute now.
A limitation of the proposal that's brought forward is that the funds are constrained to home ownership. Home ownership is only part of the deficit in assets held by Black Americans. Overall primary residences constitute 24% of household net worth. Business interest, financial assets, and retirement accounts amount to 62%. The Evanston plan does very little about the equity gap in housing produced by segregation and redlining. Homes in neighborhoods with no Black residents are worth about $341,000, while homes nationally in neighborhoods with a majority of Black residents are worth about $184,000. And in fact, the program may have a relatively weak effect on home ownership, never mind the equity gap. The median price of a home in Evanston is $432,000, and the $25,000 outlay would be 6%. A typical down payment is 20% of the price of a home.
Thank you, Doctor. A minute. All right. Next, we've got Amadou. Amadou, nice to see you back in Evanston. And then we've got Andy Spatz and then Annie Coakley. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Never left, but it's great to see you all. Resident of Evanston in the 8th Ward. I think you all, I'm here to speak on reparations. I think that what's been proposed is admirable. It is a sound housing and equity program, but it doesn't quite rise to the stature of what I would constitute, what most people understand as reparations. I advance housing and community development policy at the region's leading planning organization. I've passed legislation at every level of government. I've passed local housing legislation in this area. In fact, I've worked with one of the aldermen's father on that. And there are just some issues with how this has been structured. It's exclusive. Most of the people who've been harmed, as you've defined the harm in this program, wouldn't be able to avail themselves of this particular remedy as it relates to housing. It's underfunded, and there are some important accomplices who were part of the conspiracy to form segregation who also don't have a hand in this, at least not to atone for it. So for those reasons, I would just ask that you all would, hold off on approving in favor of the resolution today, and just take another crack at it to get it right, because it just isn't right now.
Thank you, Amadou. Next up, we've got Andy Spatz, then Annie Coakley, then Ben Kadish. Welcome, Andy.
Hi. I'm here to speak about the Sp2 Amendment. I'm impressed with the proposed amendment. Hopefully this will start Evanston beginning to focus on accelerating the permit time demanded in the COVID era. We have a limited window of opportunity to inform the public and potential investors that the city of Evanston is an enabler that seeks to attract entrepreneurs and small business to our city. As we all know, we have a location, a diverse community of talent and public transportation, and of course, Northwestern. This amendment will contribute to reducing the uncertainty felt by many local commercial real estate owners and their users going forward by eliminating wasteful and time-consuming startup costs. That's it. I'm short.
Excellent. Thank you, Andy. We appreciate being less than a minute. All right. Next up, we've got Annie Coakley, then Ben Kadish, then Bonnie Wilson. And again, we got 1 minute each. Welcome, Annie.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Clerk Reed, Manager Storley, and members of the City Council. I'm Annie Coakley, the Director of Downtown Evanston. I'm here to demonstrate my support for SB2, the text amendment to City Code Title VI. Downtown Evanston is working to attract new businesses, including an advertising campaign to reach businesses and entrepreneurs to promote the opportunities we have for small businesses in the downtown district. Providing an easier entry to businesses will help us more quickly fill these vacancies as we work to dig out of this economic downturn. I'm also here to speak in support, although it's early, of the American Rescue Aid Act funding being earmarked for economic development initiatives, including infrastructure needs, branding initiatives, and small business grant programs, just to name a few. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Annie. Next, we've got Ben Kadish, then Bonnie Wilson, then Carolyn Murray. Welcome, Ben.
Hi, City Council members, Mayor, City Manager Storley. My name is Ben Kadish, and I grew up in Evanston, and I'm a partner in the Evanston Athletic Club in the retail property located at Clark and Benson, which we have owned for almost 25 years. 1 year ago, we were 100% leased, and we had 8 tenants in our property. 3 of the tenants went out of business, and 4 of the other 5 are paying zero or partial rent. We have a new tenant interested in renting the former sports club space. This female-owned insurance agency wanted to open on April 1st. We were told it would take 90 days to have approval for a special use permit. Why does the city need a special use for an insurance office? This costs $660 to $1,000 for a very small 1,165-foot retail space. Amazon and COVID changed retail forever, and the city of Evanston needs to acknowledge these changes. To review the retail market, I drove the area around downtown. There are 41 vacant storefronts in downtown Evanston. It will take years to fill those up if each tenant needs to go through the city approval process. Rents are going to plummet, which reduces values, which reduces real estate taxes, which reduces the revenue.
We're at our minute. Bottom line is, are you supporting SB2 amendment?
I am supporting.
All right. Got it. Thank you. Sorry again that we only have a minute tonight. Bonnie Wilson, you're up next. Carolyn Murray, then Casey Varela. 1 minute. Welcome, Bonnie.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Wilson. I live in the First Ward. I've been a real estate agent in Evanston for over 36 years. I understand the need for affordable housing in this city. I've been on various affordable housing committees since 2008, from Housing for All to Age-Friendly Task Force, and now on the Zoning Committee on Joining Forces for Affordable Housing. I hope you support Pd5, a zoning text amendment to permit the establishment and regulation of efficiency homes. This is a step in the right direction by allowing tiny homes in Evanston. This is a different way the city can have more affordable housing which we do not have now. Plus, it will help to open up more solutions on what the city can do to establish more affordable housing in Evanston. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Next up, we've got Carolyn Murray, Casey Varela, then Sherry Adams. 1 minute, Carolyn, welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. However, I do feel that it is completely disrespectful to taxpaying residents who are interested in very heated discussions and would like to comment on agenda items throughout council. And I believe that when you deny a taxpayer a right to speak on hot topic issues, you should make accommodations, even if that means pushing some of the agenda items off. You're well aware of how many people that signed up for public comments before the meeting starts. So I think that just to show some level of concern and feeling that you are in response to what people have to say, you should allow them more time. I had several issues that I wanted to talk about, trash disposal and the lack of pickup, vacant property on the east side of the ward that is supposedly boarded up, but it clearly not secured to contribute to any rodent and infestation that we have throughout Evanston, and the current reparations. But 1 minute, you're just not giving us enough time.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Carolyn. Casey Varela, Sherry Adams, then Dolores Holmes. 1 minute, Casey, welcome.
Hello, I'm Casey Lewis Varela, a lifelong resident of Evanston and vice president of the Lewis Sebring Family Foundation. As a white woman at a white-led organization, I'm here tonight as an ally to those leading Evanston's reparations work. Reparations for Black Evanston residents are long overdue, and we see 37R21 as a tangible first step towards addressing the harm done. By passing the resolution, Evanston will begin to stabilize, preserve, and increase Black homeownership and address the wealth disparities in our community. The care and time taken by some of Evanston's most respected leaders under Alderman Rue Simmons' leadership and the endorsements from the nation's two leading reparation organizations, NERC and NCOBRA, gives us great confidence that 37R21 is the right path forward. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Casey. Next up, we've got Sherry Adams, then Dolores Holmes, then Dr. Iva Johnson Carruthers.
Yes, my name is Cherie Adams, and I am a lifelong resident of Evanston. My grandparents were here, and my parents, and I am excited about the reparations program or housing initiative, as Alderman Simmons calls it. I'm really disturbed by so many of the individuals that are against it. This is not reparations for the country and chattel slavery. It's just a way for the city to recognize that there were indiscrepancies in housing, and this is a way that we can give back into the Black community. So it may not have all of the bells and whistles that you need, but don't slam the door on something that can be positive for our community. Remember those who were against getting rid of segregation, or Martin Luther King marching, and all the Blacks that were against that. We probably would still be nowhere had we listened to them. So let's go forward with these housing initiatives. And they do not speak for me or the 5,500 Black families that I know in Evanston. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. We have Dolores Holmes next, then Dr. Iva Johnson Carruthers, then Dr. Ron Daniels. Welcome, Ms. Holmes.
Good evening. I am Dolores Petway Holmes, and my parents came here in 1939. I came in 1941, so I've been here over 80 years. And in this process of looking at solutions only and trying to work on reparations or repair, whatever we want to call it, with Evanston owning up to discrimination of housing in the city of Evanston, I have been a part of it from the beginning. When Alderman Rue Simmons came to the commission, to the Equity Empowerment Commission, of which I'm a member, I participated in all of the sessions, beginning with the town halls, all of the solutions only sessions. And I have been a part, and I've listened, and we all know, those of us who all were there know that housing has always been at the top of the list. I'm very proud of Evanston. I'm very proud of you as a council taking this first step, and it's only a first step. And it's only a very small percentage of what we're talking about with this $400,000. So I'm just hoping that you will do tonight what you should have done some time ago, and that's adopt 37-R-21 and finish what you started. Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores. Next up, we've got Dr. Iva Johnson Carruthers, then Dr. Ron Daniels, then Elizabeth Laser. Welcome, Dr. Carruthers. You have 1 minute.
Thank you very much. My great-grandfather left Arkansas during the Elaine race massacre and settled in Evanston. My father returned from World War II as a Tuskegee Airman, and we were discriminated against in terms of housing. I grew up in the 5th Ward, and I have seen houses being moved by logs as they in Evanston implemented housing discrimination against people of African descent. We're talking about a remedy of 4% of a $10 million budget. And I just want to remind us that the wisdom of the ages says that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I'm so very proud to be an Evanstonian. I stood and sat where you sat when we were going through school desegregation. So I know being a national forerunner is not new news for Evanston. So I hope you vote affirmatively for this recommendation. I am confident that my foreparents and the many elders who raised me and paved the way for me are rejoicing, because this is a move forward for the nation and the world. I spend much of my time at the United Nations and the World Council of Churches, and I am a founding director of the Center for Reparatory Justice at McCormick Theological Seminary. This is a moral question. This is an ethical question. It is a financial question. But most of all, we in Evanston are leading the way to heal a nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. We've got Dr. Ron Daniels, Elizabeth Laser, then Frida Morris. Welcome, Dr. Daniels. You have 1 minute. Do we have Dr. Daniels with us? All right, I'm going to come back at the end for anybody that didn't chime in. How about Elizabeth Laser?
Elizabeth Lazar. I'm a lifetime resident of Evanston. I wish we had a little more time than 1 minute to address the historic and unprecedented nature of the conversation, but I'll do my best. I would say that while I'm in overwhelming support of this resolution, I very much agree with the opposition that certainly no number can adequately absorb the multi-century theft that is the predicate for any reparations policy. And the figure on the table right now is laughably tantamount to the plunderous record that it seeks to redress. However, reparations are by nature a kind of fantasy, a kind of theater. They are performance of recompense for irredeemable losses and immeasurable damage to the Black mind and body, none of which can be properly recovered shy of time travel. This resolution is a symbolic beginning in what will eventually become policy everywhere, and it's only a matter of time before Generation Z, the oldest of whom are already in their mid-20s, will age into the political and financial power. They will poll well over half in support of reparation. They now poll well in support of reparations policy, and they choose cities and products that reflect their social values. This is why we've seen unprecedented institutional investment in Black Lives Matter. There is no doubt in my mind. There is no doubt in my mind this is the right thing to do, and let's be clear that there is no sound or reasonable argument otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we've got Frida Morris, then Harry Major, and then Jenny Arrington. Welcome, Frida. You have 1 minute. Are you with us? Hello? Do we have Frida Morris? All right, I'm getting feedback. I'm gonna move on. I'll come back to Frida Morris and see if we have a better connection. Do we have Harry Major with us?
This is Harry Major.
All right, welcome, Harry. 1 minute.
Hi. I am heavily in favor of the SB2 proposal. I was shocked when I saw the letter because I thought about this for years.
and experienced many of the problems that it deals with. I've been a property owner for 40 years, including 3 buildings in Evanston. And although COVID and the internet have been the prompting for the current vacancies, the problem with retail has gone on for 10 or 15 years. There is simply too much built. So for years, I have leased where I was permitted to medical, office, and service tenants to make sure all my properties were occupied. And I belong to a shopping center group called Casco, 35 members with many, many centers. And for the last 6 or 7 years, when we have our meetings, we say, have you gotten any new retail tenants? And except for the very best locations, the answer is no. What's been available is food service, athletics, etc. So I think this is a great idea to make leasing easier for property owners. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric, for speaking tonight. Next up, we've got Jen. I'm getting a lot of feedback, Luke. All right, next up, we've got Jenny Harrington, then Jerry Hurst, then Jill Zorden. Welcome, Jenny. You've got a minute.
Thank you. Third generation Evanstonian, and I'm here to support the reparations program. There are 2 things that bring down governments, projects, companies. And I fear that if the opposition wins with this, and no money will go to anyone. And that's failure to launch an MVP, so that minimum viable product. Of course, this is not enough. But as Alderman Roosum so eloquently said, join us. Let's continue to roll with this and make it better. We have to start somewhere. And the second thing that brings down governments and organizations and companies is ego and envy. And I fear that this opposition group is fueled by those. And it would be heartbreaking if this whole program gets shut down, or it's 10 years or 20 years before anything happens because of a failure to launch an MVP and because of ego and envy. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Next up, we've got Jerry Hurst, then Jill Zorden, and then Janice Lee. I can't read my writing, so I'm mispronouncing that name. Jerry, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Hurst. I'm a board member of Citizens Greener Evanston. I'm here to support Resolution 38R21, item A15 on the agenda, requesting that this body officially support the passage of the Clean Energy Jobs Act, CEJA, by the state legislature. This city council, you, took a brave and pioneering step in setting out ambitious goals outlined in our climate action and resilience plan. You knew it was going to be hard, but it was the right thing to do. Under Mayor Haggerty's leadership, you challenged our city to tackle the climate crisis head on. You inspired us all. Well, a bill before the state legislature is now offering us the opportunity to not have to go it alone. By having the state as a partner, putting its resources and organizing on a statewide basis, CEJA will make the goals that you set with our CARP much easier to attain. The Clean Energy Jobs Act, just as our CARP, is a comprehensive plan to address this crisis. I urge you to unanimously pass this resolution and send a message to our state legislature and Governor Pritzker that the city of Evanston strongly backs the passage of this legislation in the effort to address the challenges of the climate crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Next up, we've got Jill Zorden, then Jonas Lee, and then Josh Gilbert. Welcome, Jill.
Hello, my name is Jill Zorden, and I'm speaking in favor of Sp2. I've served on the Zoning Board of Appeals for almost 2 years, and in that time, many special use applications have come across our agenda. For the relatively straightforward requests as mentioned within Sp2, any concerns of the ZBA have regularly been covered during the city's own review and recommendation process prior to reaching our agenda. As mentioned, our downtown is suffering. These changes proposed to our city code can facilitate the uptake of these properties, minimizing the cumbersome process and reiterating that we are open for business. And I hope that you as well are in support of this change. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. And I just want to say, everybody, you're doing a great job keeping it to a minute or less. So thank you. Next up, Jonas Lee, then Josh Gilbert, then Cam Howard. Welcome, Jonas. Do we have Jonas with us?
No, Mayor, I do not see him.
Okay, so not here. All right, we're going to move to Josh Gilbert then next. You have 1 minute, Josh. Welcome.
Thank you. I just want to applaud. I want to add my voice to applauding the current council and their brave and bold and creative and determined initiative. I'm here to support that not only as just a citizen and a lifelong resident, but also as a business owner of Temperance Beer Company in the 2nd Ward. And we went so far as to actually, put our money where our mouths are. And we have a beer that benefits reparations because I believe in it. And like has been said before, it may not be perfect, but you got to have a first draft. You can't tear that up. It's much easier to destroy something than somebody else's ideas than to create something of your own. So I applaud you all, and I urge you to pass this.
Great. Thank you, Josh. And thanks for what you're doing with the beer. Next up, we've got Cam Howard, then Catherine Gottsick, and then Kathleen Scheit. So welcome, Cam. You've got 1 minute.
Thank you, Mayor. I was here before this council 15 months ago when I stated that the decision that night would have a major impact on this nation. No one today can say that that statement was untrue or an exaggeration. Tonight's decision is even larger than the first. This decision would have a local, national, and global impact. Although this vote is about $400,000, it is also about 600 years of unaddressed or woefully underaddressed global atrocities, 400 plus years here in America. As a national and international reparations leader, this initiative is sound reparations redress. Some think that this is also about 16 families. I would like to give a quick analogy. 3 years after the 1954 Brown decision to desegregate the nation's schools, only 9 students in Little Rock, Arkansas benefited initially. Those 9 students opened the door that millions of students, Black, white, and other, benefit today because of an ethnically diverse education experience. These 16 families in Evanston are equivalent to the Little Rock 9. This council tonight can open the door for hundreds of thousands of more families nationally to walk through. Pass this legislation now. Thank you.
Thank you, Cam. Next up, we've got Catherine Gottsick, Kathleen Scheit, and then Katie Trippy. Welcome, Catherine. 1 minute.
Hi, thank you very much. I won't take up much of your time. I'm speaking in support of Sp2, the Title VI zoning ordinance. If you make the changes that are proposed in the memo, we will be able to more easily fill empty storefronts. Thank you so much for your support.
Great. Thank you, Catherine. Kathleen, I know you spoke at the public hearing. I wasn't sure if you also wanted to speak here. Kathleen Scheit? I think she may have just wanted to speak at the public hearing. So I'm going to move on to the next speaker. We've got Katie Trippy, then Kent Swanson, then Mark Alston. Welcome, Katie.
Thanks. For some reason, I cannot get my video to start. If the meeting host can do that, that would be great. So I'll start.
Luke should be able to do
right
that.
now. There I am. I'm speaking tonight as a resident and a voter of the 6th Ward, and also as a candidate for alderman in my ward. Alderman Suffredin, if and when you vote no tonight on the resolution on reparations, you will be on the wrong side of history. Make no mistake, this no vote will be the one that costs you this election. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Trippy. Next up, we've got Kent Swanson, then Mark Alston, then Max Puchtel. Welcome, Kent. Is Kent with us?
I do not see Kent's name listed.
All right. We'll do a sweep at the very end in case somebody couldn't get on. All right, let's move to Mark Alston, then Max, and then Malika Gardner. Welcome, Mark. You've got 1 minute.
My name is Mark Alston. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, welcome.
I am in Los Angeles. I'm in support of SP3. There has been active opposition to Black home ownership since the Emancipation Proclamation, be it exclusionary zoning, private covenants, government redlining, racially disparate housing finance rules, or eminent domain, all of which have happened in Evanston. The white home ownership's at 74, almost 75%, black home ownership's at 44%. That 30% gap has been maintained since before 1968. I am proud of what's happening in Evanston. We are watching. You can be the model for this country to take the revenue from recreational marijuana and turn it into an advantageous opportunity to narrow the gap between black and white home ownership is amazing. I'm proud of you. I'm looking forward to an affirmative solution.
Thank you, Mr. Alston. Next up, we've got Max Patel, and then Malika Gardner, and then Nikeshi Taifa. And again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing people's names. Max, are you with us?
Yes. Good evening, members of City Council. My name is Max Patel, and I'm here tonight to voice my support of Sp2, an amendment to City Code Title VI regarding special uses. And I have the privilege of serving as a member of Evanston's Zoning Board of Appeals, and I support the proposal for 3 reasons. First, this proposal will increase equity in Evanston's business community by widening the door of opportunity for new business owners.
Before 1968.
Somebody's mute there.
Max, hold for 1 second. Luke, can you mute the other person? All right. I'm adding a little more time back there, Max. So go ahead. You got 45 more seconds.
That's all good. I support this proposal for 3 reasons. This proposal will increase equity in Evanston's business community by widening the door of opportunity for new business owners. As detailed in the staff memo, streamlining the permitting process will reduce direct and indirect costs to new business owners, thereby lowering the barrier to entry for all. 2, this proposal will increase consistency and fairness to the permitting process. Reviews by DAPR, the ZBA, and City Council are thorough, but they may be variable due to the particular member attendance at a given meeting. The creation of an administrative review use category would consolidate the review of non-controversial cases in a consistent manner. And finally, as a member of the ZBA, I am impressed on a monthly basis by the professionalism, hard work, and dedication of our city's planning and zoning staff. They consistently go the extra mile for the good and welfare of the city, and therefore I have great confidence in their judgment and discretion. Please support their proposal.
Thank you, Max, and thank you for serving the city on that board. Next up,
Mayor, we lost your sound.
Thank you, Alderman. Next up, we've got Malika Gardner, then Nikechi Taifa, then Patrick Hughes Jr. Welcome, Malika. You've got 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. People are coming at the opposers really hard. Understand the opposers just do not want this housing program to be called reparations because it is not reparations. And I know that many of the white people on here, they're in support. I want you to just think of this for a minute. We really just want them to take their time because reparations is so important and it's being rushed to a vote. And I want you to think about this. If any of your family members, their house was burned down, they were killed, car was crashed, and then someone walks up and says, here's 25 cents as a good start. And I promise to do better later, to give you back what you lost. That's what that looks like and feels like to us. And that's all we're saying is take your time. Why are you rushing? This isn't about your legacy. This isn't about career advancement. This is about the people of Evanston, Black people of Evanston, and reparations. This is important. Please take your time. Don't call it reparations. Just call it a housing program. And we don't want to block the 15 from getting their housing program. We want them to get the assistance that they need. But do not call it reparations. And we love you, Robin, and we thank you.
Thank you, Malika. Do we have Nikechi Taifa with us, and then Patrick Hughes Jr., and then Percy Berger?
Thank you. My name is Attorney Nikechi Taifa. I'm president of the Taifa Group in Washington, D.C. I support a yes vote for implementation of the first phase of the Evanston reparations bill. One of the areas that the enslavement era morphed into was the denial of government program benefits that combined to exacerbate housing, health, wealth, and educational gaps, and the targeting of Blacks for mass incarceration. All of these laws, policies, and practices warrant repair. Passage of the Restorative Housing Reparations Program that will distribute up to $25,000 for housing per Evanston recipient is designed to just begin to address the discriminatory housing practices of the past, as evidenced by the thorough report for the Shorefront Legacy Center. This first phase amounts to $400,000, a mere 4% of the $10 million allocation over 10 years. This first phase will begin the process in Evanston of an official reckoning of his past and the healing that can come from a reparations settlement to be fashioned in as many ways as necessary to equitably address the manifestations from the era of enslavement that still linger today.
Thank you, Nikichi. We got Patrick Hughes Jr. next, then Percy Berger, and then Renee Payden. Welcome, Patrick. You've got a minute.
Okay. Can I, not that anyone needs to see me, but.
We'll get you. I won't start the clock until we can see you.
It's okay. I can start talking.
All right, go ahead.
I'll start my video. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate it. Hi, everybody. Thank you. First, I just feel compelled, as somebody who grew up here in Evanston, just to say I'm sorry. This repair process is not easy. I can tell. I can hear it right now tonight. And I just, as a white person, I just want to start with an apology for my community, the white people who caused this. I really just came on to thank Alderman Braithwaite, Alderman Rainey, and Alderman Simmons for what I think has been 2 years since early 2019 have been working on this. I think there's been 15 public meetings. There's been a lot of input. I'm ready to go with I'm glad we're moving on something. I think we need to start moving. There's plenty more years to be adding things and learning things. So thank you all for your service. That's it.
Thank you, Patrick. Next up, we've got Percy Berger, then Renee Payden, then Robbie Marcus. Welcome, Percy. You've got a minute.
Thanks, Steve. And it's Berger. Thank you very much. The program is currently recommended. I'm not in support of that, but I'm very much in support of the concept. Reparations, when you hear the term, and as someone who's lived 18 generations in one parish and a southern state, this is not reparations. And the leadership of this committee has noted as such, it's a housing project, and it should be looked at as such. It's a housing equity program. You have left a lot of money on the table if you think Evanston is the only party. There are many other parties that helped in redlining, and they aren't included in here. And there are many other parties who have created much larger costs to this city that those residents should be getting, and it's not a paltry $400,000. The real estate people, the development people, the banks, the insurance companies, the appraisers, the lawyers, etc., should all be in this part. To start at such a low amount is a disservice to the community. Time, it can be done better. It doesn't have to be redone. Start where Ms. Simmons left off and move it forward, but it can be much better.
Thank you, Percy. Next up, we've got Renee Payden, then Robbie Marcus, and then Roger Sosa. Welcome, Renee. 1 minute.
Thank you, Mayor. Last year, President Trump said, Last year, President Trump said, if we stop testing right now, we have very few cases. If you don't count the Black people in the community, you will have very few Black people to receive reparations. You don't see them, they don't exist. You have no count of the people who suffered. You disenfranchise the people you say you want to repair. You put more time in creating this program for other people than finding the original people who are due their repair. You are not only discriminating against the Black community by not trying to reach those with no internet, about 34%, and including elders with no house, leaving them in the cold to harm them again. You perpetuated the systemic racism, and added age discrimination to it. Who's giving an 80-year-old a 30-year fix? Funneling money away from the intended injured elders and toward people not included in the original statement is like you are stealing money out of your grandmother's purse. We want direct cash payments. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Robbie Marcus, and then Roger Sosa, then Rose Cannon. Welcome, Robbie. You've got 1 minute.
All right, good evening. I'll try to be brief to give those speaking on reparations, especially Black folks, more time to speak. I'd like to speak in support of the Efficiency Homes Ordinance this evening, item Pd5. Based on their size and anticipated price point, these missing middle housing units could be a way for people to afford to live in neighborhoods which they can't currently access. A young family could find a starter home in Evanston, or older residents could move into a healthy, accessible housing option that lets them downsize and stay here. So I encourage the city to pass this policy to say yes to equitable and inclusive zoning, sustainable and walkable communities, and affordable housing. Thank you. Great.
Thank you, Robbie. Next, we've got Roger Sosa, then Rose Cannon, then Sebastian Knowles. You have 1 minute, Roger. Welcome. Do we have Roger Sosa with us? Okay, I'm not hearing Roger. We're going to move on then to Rose Cannon. Welcome, Rose. You've got 1 minute.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rose Cannon. I represent the oldest living person in my 5-generation family. I represent the Wilsons and the Pickens family here in Evanston. I am opposed to this ordinance that you're trying to pass tonight. I want you to take your time and let a new city council take a look at this. There's no reason to rush this through. I don't benefit at all from this. I don't own property right now, and I'm not going to go get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage with my $25,000. And that's not what I want to do with it. We want cash payments, and Robin promised us that in the very beginning, and I'm not sure where it changed. I think when they put in this self-appointed reparations authority, that's when all of this changed. We want you to take a step back. Let the new council work on this. And I want reparations just like any Black person here in this city does. And I'm willing to step back and not take this in the package that is presented to me. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Next up, we've got Sebastian Knowles, then Stephen Greenberger, and then Tiana Wild. Again, I can't read my Tiana Wild. I can't read my writing. Welcome, Sebastian. You've got a minute.
Thank you. So I keep hearing about a next step about this reparations program, but once again, the only next step that I've heard from any council members is that it's left up to the next council and the next reparations committee to deal with this program. But I want to talk about a statement made by Reverend Michael Neighbors on March 18th, where he claimed that he had been meeting with Alderman Simmons and Alderman Braithwaite at 9 p.m. on Thursday evening since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, where they discussed reparations. This is an example of a violation of the Open Meetings Act, as 2/3 of the reparations subcommittee members were gathered, which results in a quorum, and there was no scheduled meeting times, no agenda, no minutes have been posted. Therefore, I submitted a request for a review of an Open Meetings Act violation. I'm of the firm belief that this vote should not continue until after the investigation is concluded because of the severity of having a year's worth of undisclosed meetings. I have nothing but respect for those who put their time and effort into this program, even if they may not feel the same about me. But I am here in support of reparations, but this program is not reparations. We have a lot of work to do, and I look forward to the work that we're going to have to do to repair the program that we have here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Sebastian. Next up, we've got Stephen Greenberger, then Tyuna Webb. Apologize, Tyuna, if I'm mispronouncing that, and then Tina Payton. Welcome, Stephen. You've got a minute.
I'm a law professor, and I'm very much in support of reparations. However, I have to tell you, and I hope you'll listen, this ordinance is doomed to be declared unconstitutional. You have a conservative majority on the Supreme Court now. And if you single out African Americans like this, it's not going to remain law. There are a couple other ways you can go about this, which will actually accomplish your goal. First, you can make the program open to everyone, knowing that there are no white people who are going to be able to demonstrate that they were discriminated against during this period. Second, you could place a clinic or other infrastructure in the Fifth Ward to benefit the Black population in the city. I very much support the idea, but I have no doubt whatsoever that this is going to be a futile gesture and you're going to end up making bad law and the ordinance will be declared unconstitutional. I'm sorry to say that, but that's what's going to happen.
Thank you, Professor. Appreciate that perspective. Next up, we've got Tayuna Webb, and then Tina Payden, and then Vanessa Johnson McCoy.
Good evening. My name is Tiana Webb, and I agree with those who spoke in support of the reparations initiative. I'm a resident in Evanston, and my husband works at the university, and we are parents of 2 young children. I also speak as a person of faith who is a Black woman, and I'm aware that the wealth disparity is the burden particularly felt by Black women and girls. I echo those who spoke before me in support of reparations in Evanston, and I know this resolution is long overdue. A vote in support of reparations program is a sign that my family is welcome here. It is a sign that Evanston cares about families that look like mine. It is an act of equity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we've got Tina Payden, then Vanessa Johnson McCoy, and then Violetta Cullen. Welcome, Tina. You've got a minute.
Good evening. Our family has been in the same house for over 100 years, and I am Black, and I have been discriminated against by the city of Evanston for many years. I'm voting yes for cash payments and no for housing programs. We demand transparency, the amount of money that's in the fund right now, the location of the money, and what type of fund is the money being held. There's no priority for senior citizens without a home, no clear plan for distribution. Money is going back to the bank, which is the offender in this process. We have been discriminated against by the banks. Why should they be rewarded with $25,000 and not to the person who has been damaged by this process? Also, why didn't aldermen support homeowners to access money that was given to SEPA for repairing their home? For over $40,000 we could have gotten, but no one has talked about the plan for the $480,000 that was received by the city of Evanston. Why can't we get that money instead of using reparations money, which we should have cash payments? Please vote no, and Black Lives Matter, and please go vote.
Thank you, Tina. Next up, we've got Vanessa Johnson McCoy, then Violetta Cullen, and then Kevin Brown. Welcome, Vanessa. You have a minute.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening to everyone. I am Vanessa Johnson McCoy. I am born and raised right here in Evanston, as well as my dad, who was raised in the 5th Ward, but they were able to buy in the 2nd Ward, but not without struggles. When in fact, he worked at Evanston Hospital and would have wanted to purchase their home there in that area, but were not allowed to. Because why? Because of redlining, and they were restricted. But I won't go all into that. I am a current real estate agent with Coldwell Banker here in Evanston, and I can see that the housing differences still are impacted even today. When I look at a market analysis for homes in the predominantly historically Black communities versus those that are not. And so I could go on and on, but I know I only have 60 seconds and they're probably at least half up by now. So I will just say, okay, I am in support of reparations. It is a start. Yes, it's small, but it's a start, and we must start somewhere. Please don't let the subcommittee's work that they've done go in vain. Please keep moving forward and vote yes for reparations tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. Next up, we've got Violetta Cullen, then Kevin Brown, then Sarah Diggs. Welcome, Violetta. Nice to see you. You got 1 minute.
Good evening. Thank you, Steve. I am here this evening to speak in support of the amendment to the City Code Title VI regarding special uses. I have been the chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the past 8 years. I can honestly tell you that our staff is very well prepared as far as how they present the special uses to us, and I feel like we can move forward with administrative review. I agree with everything that my board members said earlier, Jill Zorden and Max Patel, and I would like you to pass this amendment. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Violetta. Next up, we've got Kevin Brown, then Sarah Diggs, and then Daniel Featherson. Welcome, Kevin. You've got a minute.
Mayor, City Council, City Clerk, the stakes are high, and that is why this flawed effort should not move forward without a program design and rollout ready to withstand the legal challenges that the law professor just mentioned. I find myself asking, why must a program purporting to benefit Black people not be subject to the same rigor and scrutiny as any other city program? When one is building a house, one does not build a kitchen and then say we will add other rooms as we figure out what kind of home we're going to build. It's just bad public policy, and it blatantly leaves an impression that Black people are not entitled to the same levels of concern and care as other city programs and projects. I do not think any other group that has received reparations would tolerate such a sloppy effort. And again, the push forward appears to be more oriented towards photo ops and marketing, something that simply isn't true. The city of Evanston should not willingly mislead our country by declaring reparations have been provided to Black Evanstonians by providing a benefit to potentially 16 people. We support the housing program. We don't support calling this reparations because it simply is not. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we've got Sarah Diggs, then Daniel Featherson, then Earlette Wright. Welcome, Sarah. You've got a minute.
Hi, good evening. I respectfully ask that you adopt Resolution 37R21. I have to tell you that my family has resided in the city of Evanston since the early 1900s, and I'm pleased that the city is acknowledging the housing disparity as well as to be the first city in the nation to propose redress for it. I know I don't have much time, so I'm skipping by everything I wanted to tell you. I think that the facts are very salient and well laid out. Simply, we're not saying it's perfect, but there was harm to housing, and this is an attempt to repair the harm to the housing. This is a matter of housing equity, which on its face may appear to benefit a select few, but in reality, it benefits all of the citizens of Evanston, not just those of color. Home ownership and revitalization of homes in this community lends to increased values of all the homes in the city. Furthermore, studies support that there are reduced crime rates as well as other benefits as a direct result of pride of home ownership. Home ownership strengthens communities, and strong communities build strong cities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. Daniel Featherson is next, then Earlette Wright, then Priscilla Giles. Welcome, Daniel. You got a minute. Let's see. We don't see Daniel here. Someone's saying not here. How about Earlette Wright?
Can you hear me?
We can. Welcome, Earlette. You have a minute.
Okay. My family has been in Evanston since the early 1900s as well. My mother was born here. I do not agree that this is reparations. I know what reparations is, and this isn't it. This is public housing. I have no problem with affordable housing, which is what this is. But the fact of the matter is this. Even if you give someone $25,000, which you should be able to give until $25,000, and they can do whatever they want to do with it. Well, there's no house in Evanston someone can buy with $25,000 down that I know of. We need to be transparent. If we're having secret meetings with only 3 people, that's not right. We need to slow down. I'm not saying we need to throw it away. We just need to fix it. That's all I have to say. Just fix it.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Next up, we've got Priscilla Giles, then Janet Alexander Davis, and then Jeff Masters. Welcome, Ms. Giles. Is Priscilla Giles with us?
I did see her, sir.
I forgot to. Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot to unmute myself.
Hey,
When my family came here in the late 1800s, they experienced the same kind of thing that's going on even today. When the city council voted to accept the reparations for the city of Evanston, I questioned the one alderman who voted against it. I now understand why. It was explained to me that the plan should have come before the vote, and I agree 100%. Though we Black Americans need reparations, the plan as it stands is not reparations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Giles. Next up, we've got Priscilla Giles with us. Next up, we've got Janet Alexander.
I forgot to. Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot to unmute myself.
All right. So next up, we've got Janet Alexander.
Can you hear me? The same kind
We
of
can.
feedback is coming from Janet.
Janet Alexander. Yeah. Can you turn the TV off or the other device on?
Right.
There you go, Ms. Alexander. Welcome.
Hello, Mayor, City Council. I really just wanted to be on the call tonight, but I have to say, I strongly support the program that has been put together. People have worked for close to 2 years and have brought before a council that voted for the reparations. That's what one needs to understand. Voted for it. And it's the same council that this particular program should go before. So I hope that you will vote in favor of it. It is a beginning, it's a step, and I'm looking forward to the benefit from all of this. It's bigger than you think. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Next up, we've got Jeff Masters, then Carlos Sutton, then Matt Rogers. Welcome, Jeff. You've got a minute.
Thank you. I'm a member of the 5th Ward, Jeff Masters, and I'm strongly in support of Resolution 37R27. I feel a huge sense of pride 2 years ago when Evanston led the way to come up with a government-funded reparations program. I know that the committee has worked diligently over the 2 years. They've had open meetings. There's plenty of time for comment. And I think as part of the 5th Ward, housing has been a big issue for everybody in trying to, how do we help housing initiatives with the residents that are here? This is a step. It is a start, but I think with all the hard work for the committee, I think we should move forward. And as we go forward, we'll have a new committee, and the new committee can add new direction.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. Next up, we've got Carlos Sutton, then Matt Rogers, then Alvin Humes. Welcome, Carlos. You have a minute.
Good evening. I want to thank Mayor Haggerty, Clerk Reed, City Manager Shirley.
Hello. Luke, can we mute that person and we'll start Carlos again? All right, thank you. Carlos, go ahead. You've got a minute.
Hello?
Yep. Carlos? Carlos, you're muted.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Haggerty, Clerk Reed, and City Manager Story for giving me this opportunity. First, I want to support the passage of the reparations. But secondly, I think we should have a reconsideration of prioritization and distribution by an independent committee. I also think we should have on the agenda cash payments. We also should prioritize the elderly and their needs for reparations. I thank you for my opportunity to speak and support all of those people. And I'm very, very pleased to see almost 100 people finally tuning in to a city meeting where the four of us have done this for you for the last 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Next up, we've got Matt Rogers, then Alvin Humes, then Natisha Blunt-Waldron. Welcome, Matt. You've got a minute.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, city staff.
I'm here to speak on two issues. I'm going to be really quick. In regard to Sp2, the amendments to zoning ordinance, this change to handling specific types of special uses is an excellent way to move certain businesses through the process quickly and to aid in Evanston's economic recovery. These cases are not controversial, and the few neighborhood impact items such as hours, employees, and parking are handled through conditions which are regularly placed on special uses. I urge your support of staff's proposal. Also, for Pd5 the Efficiency Homes, we're back for the third meeting on this. We've gone from an alderman seeking to suspend the rules for introduction and action to regular order to now it being placed on a hold. It's been in the system for 9 months since the application and even longer when counting the applicant's discussion with staff prior to applying. Do not delay this any longer. It's time to vote to allow construction of efficiency homes on underutilized substandard lots in Evanston. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Matt. Next up, we've got Alvin Humes, then Natisha Blunt-Waldron, then Mary Rosinski. Welcome, Alvin. You have a minute. Do we have Alvin Humes with us? All right.
Mayor, I did not see him.
All right. Thank you, Kimberly. We're going to move then to Natisha Blunt-Waldron.
Can you hear me?
We
can.
Can.
You hear me?
We can. Welcome.
Okay.
You have a minute. Welcome.
Yeah, sorry about this technology here. I'm getting used to it. I've been an Evanston resident since the 1950s, and this bill, as presented, will give homeowners or future homeowners a great opportunity to start building some legacies for their children. This won't necessarily benefit the folks who are 60, 70 years old, but they will be able to get on board with property ownership in Evanston. That $25,000 will represent 5% down, which would get you into a $500,000 home. And at no point did I ever hear that this was offered as a cash in hand situation. It was always presented as a way to build wealth in Evanston and get on board with ownership of property in Evanston. And we have to start somewhere. The country is watching what's going on here. Please vote yes for the reparation bill as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we've got Mary Rosinski, then Mike Vasilko, then Catherine Johnson. Welcome, Mary. You have a minute.
Thank you very much. I am very much in favor of reparations. However, this plan seems that there has a lot of people who don't feel represented with it. And I think that is problematic, and that the problem originated with people being excluded. So I would like us to look at that, not to stop reparations, but to get it right. And also I would hope that if we're doing something where it's $25,000 per person, that maybe people could get together, maybe 10 people could get together and they could buy themselves a building. And then they could have something that is also they could live in and rent out should they choose to do that. So I don't know if that's part of it, but I would hope so. So I don't want to say I'm not for reparations, because I am. I just don't want people who are deserving to feel excluded. The second thing I'm questioning is homes is I would hope that we're not going to allow the creation of substandard lots, and that everybody who's near a substandard lot would be notified. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary. Next, we've got Mike Vasilko, then Catherine Johnson, then Nicholas Hines. Welcome, Mike. You've got a minute.
Thank you. I'll try to be quick. I'm not in a position to judge whether this program is the right program or not. For reparations, I've heard a lot of people say they'd like you to give them more time. I tend to listen to those people, and maybe you should consider that. One thing I'm curious about is, because I've heard that some funds are going to be taken from the Good Neighbor Fund and used for the reparations fund because there's some projected revenue losses. I'm wondering if somebody could elaborate on that. And secondly, I thought I heard previous speakers say, because I saw a report in Evanston Now about a potential lawsuit coming our way regarding the current housing program or the restorative housing program as it's being presented as reparations. So I think that's another issue that really should be vetted before you move forward. Again, not for me to say, but I would like some feedback on whether or not funds are being taken from the Good Neighbor Fund for reparations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. The Good Neighbor funds from Northwestern University are not part of the reparations program that we're talking about tonight. The reparations program is being funded with the cannabis revenue, up to $10 million, not with the Northwestern Good Neighbor Fund money. Catherine Johnson is next, and then we got Nicholas Hines, and then Tina Pennick, it looks like. Welcome, Ms. Johnson. You've got a minute.
Mayor, I do not see Ms. Johnson on the line.
Okay. How about Nicholas Hines? Is Nicholas Hines with us?
Mr. Mayor, I'm on for the meeting for a consent agenda for later, so I'll let someone else speak on this behalf now.
What I would do is, because we don't call speakers when we're in the consent agenda, Nicholas, so I would go ahead and take your minute now if you need a whole minute.
I don't. I'm simply on in case there's any questions. I'm one of the principals for one of them. So
okay, gotcha. For which, just so I know, for which
Double Clutch. For Double Clutch Brewery.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, then we've got Tina Pennick, and then I don't think there was a name here. It just says LJM, and then Sandy Mathurin. So do we have Tina Pennick with us? I'm going to take that as a not here, Kimberly.
Correct. I see a Tina, but I think that's Payton. So I think we are.
Okay. All right. We've heard from Tina Payton. LJM. Is there an LJM here? That's what was written in the sign up.
No, Mayor, I do not see an LJM.
Oh, okay. How about Sandy Mathurin?
Sandy is not listed here as well, Mayor.
All right. How about Brenda Greer? Do we have Miss Greer with us? And if we do, welcome Miss Greer. You've got a minute.
Can you hear me?
We can. Well, welcome, Ms. Greer.
Okay, good evening, council members. I'm speaking tonight and to my family member, Mary Wilkerson and Nancy Brown, who worked with the NAACP and marched with Dr. King. Mary introducing myself and other youth within the community during the 60s to the NAACP, who owned already her home, and Nancy also, and Mary having repairs fully done on her home and not needing it. How do you compensate these people who in the past tirelessly worked and marched for the rights and equals of others, the Black community? To the Greers, the Giles, the Greens, the Richmonds, the Gibbs, the mistreatment by law enforcement here in Evanston during the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and to this day. Myself also having guns drawn on me during 79 across from the Fuller's home in the 1500 block of Emerson. To those that think that this should go forth as it is, it's totally wrong. No, Dino, time out. Starting with small parts, time out for building anything and starting from the small parts. My ancestors, myself, and others started already with the small part, took the small and one slice of the pie. And we also on Fridays clocked out and looking at our checks and knowing that it should have been more dollar signs behind the dollar sign in the decimal. So no, City Council should vote tonight on this reparations to go forth for housing, because there are already programs in place, many for buying homes, for repairing your home. So I do hope that this doesn't go forth, and I am fully in agreement for reparations, and I applaud you all for the work that you have done on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Greer. Next up, we've got Ray Friedman. Welcome, Ray. You've got 1 minute. Do we have Ray with us?
I'm here. Sorry about that.
There you go. Welcome, Ray.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the little bit extra time. A lot of people speaking tonight. Real quick, I had a bunch of things to talk about. No time. I wanted to talk a little bit about reparations, of which will not affect me whatsoever. No one has spoken against reparations. I'm 100% in favor of reparations, as is everybody else. Okay, this is not the right program for reparations. This needs to be discussed further. There are 75,000 residents in Evanston. 16% are Black residents. That would be about 12,000 residents. Okay, and this program would help 8 to 16 residents, which means you left out 11,984 residents potentially. Okay, this is discrimination in itself. So this is not a program that you want to move forward with. The program needs to be discussed. If you want to know what program will work, just ask the 12,000 Black residents to vote on a reparations program, and you'll know what program will work. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Next up, we've got Reverend Michael Neighbors, and then we've got Anna Kroger. Welcome, Dr. Neighbors. You've got a minute.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I'm going to begin. We are nearly 158 years past the day Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. 402 years past the year of a Dutch ship landing at Plymouth Rock with 20 African slaves. 67 years past the Brown versus Topeka Board of Education Supreme Court decision. Less than 2 generations away from time in our own Evanston, where we have the Emerson Street Y because the Groves Y did not want to be integrated. When we have the community hospital because no hospital in Evanston would treat Black patients. When we have the foster school because even here equal and equitable education was denied Black and brown children. With such historical reality, with such searing current contemporary challenges, this evening we are standing on the precipice of enormous change. From the Secretary of State in California, Dr. Shirley Weber, introducing legislation for reparations in that state, to an Episcopal church in Baltimore who recently agreed to a fund of $500,000 for the first time the United States is moving in the right direction. I believe this surge of goodwill began right here in Evanston about 2 years ago. And it is in this space and time that we now command the attention of the world. Let me encourage every alder person to vote yes tonight. I encourage you to vote yes because we've waited long enough. I encourage you to vote yes because this is a single step on a 1,000-mile journey that should have started a long time ago. I encourage you to vote yes because of the chains of hesitation must end now. As we begin this first step, we will set in motion a tide of movement that will benefit tens of millions of Black people everywhere. If we do not begin this association and step forward now with a positive vote for resolution, that long effort will fail. And all of these other reparations programs in the United States will probably suffer as well. Start tonight, please. Make history.
Thank you, Dr. Neighbors. We've got Anna Krogert. I apologize, Anna, if I'm mispronouncing your last name. And then we have Tina Pennick. Welcome, Anna.
Hi, thank you. I guess I can't see how to do my video, but maybe the moderator or host can do that. Yes, my name is, here we go. Gonna start. My name is Anna Krogert. I'm speaking today, thank you, to register my support for the Reparations Subcommittee's recommendation that the Council vote to adopt Resolution 37R27. I'm speaking as someone raised in Evanston, a graduate of Oakton, Nichols, ETHS, and Northwestern University. I want to thank the members of the Reparations Subcommittee and others who have worked diligently to develop this reparations initiative. As many others have said, placing our city at the forefront of one of our country's most challenging issues. I'll cut to some of these other things here, and I just want to support everything that's been said before. I think it's wonderful that our city is having such public engagement and lively, animated debate around how our reparations initiative will proceed. I see no need for this debate to stop, nor for it to hold up this pilot or initial phase of the project. Why not document the reparations housing programs unfolding so as to inform future iterations to build on it and learn from it together? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anna. And then I believe our last speaker is Tina Pennick. And then Kimberly, I'm going to turn to you to see if there's anyone that I missed that should have been called. And if not, we will then move on to the agenda. Welcome, Tina. You have 1 minute.
Good evening, Mayor Hackey and all of the other aldermen and people on the board. I just wanted to definitely state that I am in agreement with Agenda SP3. It is a long time coming. It was 2 years ago that it was presented to the city of Evanston of a reparation as a stepping stone to begin something of repairs for Black people here in Evanston. And in no ways can this pay everyone. No, but this is a beginning to start. And if we can continue to move forward in that, I'm sure that we will continue on efforts to help other disparities that are sitting here in our community. So if we could vote yes, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Tina. And I understand from Kimberly Richardson that we have no more speakers tonight. I want to thank
Mayor Hagerty. I'm sorry, may I have 1 minute as a resident?
All right, you're now signed up. You have 1 minute, Clerk Reed, for public comment.
Yep, thank you. I just want to say thank you to Alderman Ruth Simmons, Alderman Fleming, Alderman Braithwaite, Alderman Holmes, Alderman Baptiste, Alderman Jourdain, and all of the other African-American representatives that we've had that have laid the foundation for today. I encourage everyone on the council to vote their conscience. I don't think that now is a time to look backward, but I think it's a time to look forward. And looking forward, what I do hope is that the appointment of the reparations subcommittee is the most transparent, participatory process that the city of Evanston has ever seen. And so as we are naming the new members of that board, I hope we lead in a new way moving forward. So thank you all for the work that has been done. And I encourage everyone to vote their conscience tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Clerk. Thank you, Devon Reed. Okay, now my understanding is that completes public comment. So thank you to Luke Stowe and Kimberly Richardson, who are working behind the scenes to help us get through all of our public comment. Lots of issues on our agenda tonight. I know the council appreciates everybody that came forward to speak tonight passionately about a variety of issues. So thank you for that. We're now going to move into the agenda. And we have 3 items that are on special orders of business. So I'm going to ask our senior alderman, Ann Rainey, if she will move SP1 for us, and we will start the special orders of business.
Okay, I'm not muting. SP1. Mr. Mayor, approval of the 2020 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report for the city's Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership, Emergency Solution Grants Program. Mr. Mayor, I think I would like to read the amounts involved here just for clarification and transparency for the community. The Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report reviews how the City of Evanston used federal entitlement grant funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to implement programs and projects to address community needs during the 2020 program year, January 1 to December 31st, 2020. Evanston received $2,559,824 in HUD entitlement funds in FY 2020. We received $1,836,033 in CDBG block grant, $364,291 in home investment partnership, and $158,463 in emergency solution grant funds. So I move approval. This has to be sent to HUD by March 31st. I move approval.
All right, thank you. So the item has been moved and seconded. This item, SP1, is now open for discussion. Let me start with Ms. Storley, City Manager. Is there anything staff wanted to add to this?
No, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
All right, so seeing no discussion on this item, I'm going to ask the city clerk if he will take the roll on SP1.
Yes, Alderman Fleming.
Point of order. The roll call should begin this evening with Alderman Fisk. And
I'm sorry. When I said Alderman Fleming, I meant to say Fisk.
Okay.
All right.
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Suffredin.
Aye.
Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
And Alderman Fleming.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Clerk. SP1, approval of the 2020 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report for the city's Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnerships, and Emergency Solutions Grant programs passes the Evanston City Council on a 9-0 vote. Alderman Rainey, could you please move for discussion SP2?
SP2, amendment to the City Code Title 6 regarding special uses to assist with COVID-19 pandemic economic recovery and commercial development in Evanston's merchant districts. I move for discussion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so this item has been moved and seconded for discussion. We'll start with Alderman Fisk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm strongly in support of this. We had a meeting with the downtown alderman with the downtown business and property owners last week, and this is something that we really need in order to fill our vacant storefronts and relieve the cost to the applicant for making an application for a special use and eliminate the associated delay. So I think this is extremely important for us to do. I hope you'll all support it. Alderman Wilson, I'm sure you will pick up on my comments here.
All right, thank you, Alderman Fisk. Alderman Wilson.
Okay, I'll pick up on your comments. But yes, Alderman Fisk is right. We did hear from a number of businesses and representatives of the business community the other night, other day rather. But we've, I think, all been hearing from them on an ongoing basis. I know that our staff, I see Mr. Zalmazek and Ms. Klotz here. I know that they've been hearing from people as well. It's going to be really important over the next months to be as nimble as possible in getting people back on their feet and getting entrepreneurs and creative ideas, the chance to move forward without an undue burden and expense of getting their things off the ground. So hopefully we can get this, rolling out in short order and help those businesses also get their recovery going.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Rainey.
Well, we had Chair Cullen speak to us in citizen comment on this also. And tonight on the consent agenda is a special use at 955 Howard the only thing in that strip mall is special uses, of fast foods. And really, there's no reason for them to go through, a 6-month, process to be in there. So I couldn't agree more on situations like that. This is really important. So let's go.
Thank you, Alderman Rainey. Any further discussion or comments from council members? Seeing none, City Manager, it seems like the council's support, I know this was just a discussion item tonight, but supportive of these text amendments to make things easier for our businesses. So unless there's anything that you need, I would then move on to the next item in special orders of business.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it. Seeing that there seems to be general consensus for us to move forward and refer this to the Plan Commission, we will reserve the discussion and presentation that we had planned for that, and we will put it up on the city website to make available for the public.
All right, terrific. Thank you. All right, I'm now Alderman Rainey.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to yield the floor on SP3 to Alderman Simmons.
Yes, I was going to do that. Thank you, Alderman Rainey.
But I wanted to do that.
All right, you have worked hard. You have worked hard, Alderman Rainey, and I want everybody to know once again that it was Alderman Rainey who had really the novel idea of using cannabis revenue to fund reparations, and that's a big part. There's two parts of reparations: A, we got to figure out how to fund it, and B is implementing it, which, as we're seeing tonight, is complex and challenging. So, thank you, Alderman Rainey, for doing that, and Alderman Ruth Simmons, if you want to move SP3.
Thank you. And before I do that, I want to add one more thing about Alderman Rainey. She was partnered with Judge Lionel Jean-Baptiste when he was the second ward alderman, and they introduced, along with the city council, and passed our first reparation resolution in Evanston. And so this work actually began in Evanston in 2002. It didn't begin today or even 2 years ago. It began with the leadership of the city council at that time.
And Alderman Nguyen was there. Alderman Nguyen was there also.
I was. Awesome. And Alderman Nguyen. I was waiting for that information. I thought you and Alderman Fisk may both have been there, but I didn't get the information back. So thank you all for establishing this path forward to reparations in Evanston. We are only building on the work that you started in 2002. SP3. Adoption of Resolution 37R27, authorizing the implementation of Evanston Local Reparation Restorative Housing Program and Program Budget. The Reparations Subcommittee recommends City Council adopt Resolution 37R21 to authorize the implementation of the Local Reparation Restorative Housing Program and the initial program budget of $400,000. Funding will be provided from the Local Reparation Fund. I move approval.
Second.
All right. Thank you, Alderman Ruth Simmons. So this was moved and seconded. This item is now open for discussion, comments, questions from council members.
Well, do we have a staff presentation from?
I'm not sure if they were planning to do a staff presentation unless the council wants it or you would like it. I'll turn to Deputy City Manager Richardson for that.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Manager Storley, City Clerk Reed. I do have a very quick couple of slides just to give an overview of the program if you like for that to occur. Alderman Simmons?
It seems like there's aldermen that would like that, several of them.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and share my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right, so, nope, that's not share, that's present, okay. So again, the Restorative Housing Program is the first initiative developed by the Reparations Subcommittee focused on preserving, stabilizing, and increasing home ownership, which builds intergenerational equity amongst Black African-American residents. A housing program was prioritized as the first program to be funded by the Local Reparations Fund after the initial community feedback reported by the Equity Empowerment Commission in 2019. The program benefits include 3 areas of interest. First, home ownership. The homeowner benefit provides down payment and closing cost assistance to purchase real property located within the city. Home improvement benefit. The home improvement benefit provides funds to repair, improve, and modernize real property located within the city of Evanston. And mortgage assistance benefit. The mortgage assistance benefit provides funds to down payment mortgage principals, interest, and/or late penalties for real property located in the city of Evanston. Eligible individuals may receive up to $25,000, and up to 2 individuals can pool their funding together for up to $50,000. The program, as stated, is budgeted for $400,000 initially. There are eligibility requirements to be eligible for these program benefits, and they're broken into 3 categories. The first being an ancestor, and I want to first define how we define African American Black for our programming purposes. African American Black is defined as having origins in any of the Black racial or ethnic groups of Africa. So for ancestor, African American or Black resident of the city between 1919 and 1969 may have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and/or other issues defined under direct descendant. A direct descendant is a blood relative in the direct line of the descendant of an African American or Black resident of the city between 1919 and 1969. And then there's an applicant who does not qualify as either an ancestor or a direct descendant, but have experienced housing discrimination due to the city's policies and practices after 1969. Program implementation, we're looking to work with the newly formed reparations committee to have this program up and running this midsummer for the application that will be sent out for the public release. The initial application will be accepted and reviewed and funded in the following order: applicants applying as an ancestor, applicants applying as a direct descendant, then applicants that do not qualify as either an ancestor or a direct descendant, but have experienced housing discrimination due to city policies and practice after 1969. That is the overview of just the program overview. I can answer any particular questions in regards to the policies themselves that the City Council may pose.
Thank you, Kimberly, for that quick brief on the program. I'm now going to open it, and we'll start with Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Thank you, Mayor Haggerty, and thank you, Kimberly. I don't want to take another step forward in this process without thanking our incredible staff led by our Deputy City Manager, Kimberly Richardson. Our staff has included Tashik as well as Nick Cummings, and I'm sure many other staff members that have weighed in on this. Also want to be sure to thank the residents that have participated in the process over the last couple of years. Your input and your feedback has crafted this initial guideline. I also want to thank the City Council, those members that accepted meetings to give your feedback to the guidelines. Your information and your feedback has made it a more exceptional initial first step, and your feedback has been included. So thank you all on City Council, those of you that did accept a meeting. There's been some discussion about not enough time and rushing this process. I don't want to dismiss and not show appreciation for the dozens of meetings that we've had and the many community members, stakeholders, allies, partners, both here in town and nationally, that have supported and mentored and provided resources and new partnerships and relationships for us to develop a program, acknowledging it is a first step. It's a first tangible step. It is alone not enough. It is not full repair alone in this one initiative. But we all know that the road to repair and justice in the Black community is going to be a generation of work. It's going to be many programs and initiatives and more funding. And so what I'm excited about is the new engagement, the new interest in what we're doing, the new support. All I heard today was support of reparations. And I'm excited to know that there will be more voices to come to the process and participate in the committee meetings and speak to your aldermen so that your voice can be heard and included in guidelines going forward beyond media, because the work is not done in the media. So I just want to start with opening. Thank you to everyone that's worked so hard. We have to thank NARC. NARC has been our lead and our guide. The organization has provided incredible amount of resources. And one I should mention, because we all know that we did have a legal challenge, a letter that was issued by a conservative funded situation that is challenging our reparations. And I'm really proud that through our relationship with NARC, that the African American Redress Network, along with Columbia Law School, and I want to get these names right. I don't want to misstate the organizations. So it's actually the Thurgood Marshall Civil Rights Center at Howard University, the African American Redress Network, and the Institute for the Study of Human Rights have partnered together along with their international high capacity law firms to provide pro bono legal defense to us in the event that we should have some sort of a situation in court. Right now we have a letter, but we have a very competent and engaged law department here at the city that we could not be more proud of to help us come up with a solid case for reparations, as well as the research that has been presented by Dino Robinson and his team, including members of the Evanston History Center. So I just wanted to open with thank yous, because it's been a lot of work, and it seems that that work has not been recognized, and I think that it is important that we do so.
Thank you, Alderman Ruth Simmons. There was the legal letter, as you refer to, and it was in the newspapers and everything else. I know Nick Cummings, our deputy city attorney, has been working closely with the reparations committee and others to craft a program that is legally viable and defensible. Nick, are you on the call this evening? And if so, can you just share your perspective? I presume you've read that letter, and I know several aldermen and others have just received questions wanting to make sure that, you know, our legal counsel and other counsels that are advising us have had an opportunity to look at that.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, Clerk Reed, City Manager Storley. I have had an opportunity to review the letter, and it doesn't come as a surprise, and it's the reason why I've advised the subcommittee the way that I have, in order so that we can try and tailor something that actually would withstand constitutional scrutiny.
Okay.
And we've also forwarded the letter from Howard to all of you.
Thank you for that.
But
okay.
That was just this afternoon, by the way. So you might not have read it yet.
Another thing I'd like to add for those that are watching the process, there were, and the clerk mentioned it as well, many letters of support. And I should also thank the many donors that have begun to increase our $10 million fund to who knows what it will be. But we have residents and businesses, as well as houses of worship. We just heard this week from the Evanston Unitarian Church that has established a matching fund for reparations. So I want to make sure that we lift up all of those that are increasing and building on our goals for reparations as well.
Thank you, Alderman Ruth Simmons. I'm going to open the floor to other comments and questions. Alderman Wilson, start with you, and then Alderman Fisk.
Thanks. Yeah, for years I've made a policy to try to not speak after Dr. Reverend Neighbors because I feel like I can never match his eloquence. But in this case, I'm grateful to be speaking after him and also after all of the other public speakers we've heard from tonight. And that's because much of what needs to be said has been raised for consideration. There are so many considerations and things that need to be taken into account, and this is going to be a very long and challenging process. But sometimes you have to take a stand, and Evanston doesn't shy away from doing the right thing. We took a leading position on sanctuary cities. We were a lead plaintiff in a case that was taken to the appellate court in that regard, and we prevailed in that. We took a leading position on assault weapons bans, and I think that this is something that we definitely need to continue with and take a leading position on. It is not being rushed. Alderman Simmons talked about this, but we've listened and heard those who voice concerns, but I don't think that those voices warrant us taking a step back. Many people have worked really hard on this. I'm not saying that it's a great first step, but I'm saying it's a step, and it's a step that we absolutely have to take. This is a piece of a much broader program, and it addresses one of many documented harms. Our city attorney has spent countless hours working on this. Others have spent countless hours researching these issues, researching the history, and I fully support it. I fully support the hard work of those who brought this to us for consideration. Alderman Simmons, I'm so grateful for your work and efforts. Alderman Braithwaite and Alderman Rainey, your time on the committee. City Attorney Nick Cummings, same for you. We've had a number of conversations about these things and about my concerns from the legal perspective. Ms. Richardson, I know that you've been very involved. Alderman Fleming, you have been involved in a lot of these issues leading into this. And I also appreciate the advice and counsel over the years from Alderman Jean-Baptiste and Alderman Holmes. This is such a long process to get to the point that we're at. It is absolutely not being rushed, and I feel like that we definitely need to take this step and move this forward into the right direction. So thank you for listening, and hopefully we can move this forward.
Thank you, Alderman. We have Alderman Fisk and then Alderman Nguyen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also am extremely proud of everyone at this moment, but especially Alderman Bruce Simmons, whose commitment and vision and hard work and has just been extraordinary throughout this. I'm absolutely in awe of her. Alderman Rainey, Alderman Braithwaite, I think your work on the committee along with Alderman Bruce Simmons has been extraordinary as well. You've had a lot of issues to look at, and I think that you've taken your jobs really seriously and listened to the community. And I think that's obviously what's needed here. I mean, we have a long history of being at the forefront of difficult issues. We've never shied away from them. This is the one that I think I personally am the most proud of. And I don't really have a right to say that. I'm on the council, I'm an observer, not on the committee, but this is so long overdue. I'm just absolutely in awe of you and really appreciate that you have brought the rest of us and given us the opportunity to support you in it, because it's incredibly important for our community. This is a landmark vote and decision that we've made. And I agree with those residents who spoke tonight and said, we need to take the first step. We absolutely need to take the first step. And it's not time for us to take a step backwards or be cautious or shy. It's time for us to move forward. And as the program develops over the years, we'll all enjoy watching it. We'll all enjoy all of the benefits that it brings to our community. Again, I'm just so thankful to all of you. So good job.
Thank you, Alderman Fisk. Alderman Nguyen?
Yes, I did want to say that, yes, I was on that council in 2002 that listened and learned from Alderman Jean-Baptiste about reparations. It was an idea that I think most of us did not know anything about compared to today. And and did not know how we would proceed forward. But I was very happy that we cast that vote at the time. I'm sorry that it has taken 18 years to be here today. So this is not rushed. There has been a national conversation about this. Part of the reason why all of these programs are challenging is because it is such difficult work in terms of understanding how we can possibly redress the harms that have been discussed by so many of the speakers. So I do want to say first, thank you to Alderman Ruth Simmons. I am also so in awe of you for you have pushed us forward, but not only did you push us forward, but you made us believe we could do it. And that was something that was really essential in all of this. I also want to thank Alderman Rainey and Alderman Braithwaite and all of the staff who have worked so hard on this. This is really difficult, challenging work, but we are here now, and I am in complete support of this approach. And I do want to say that I'm going to take some words from Dr. Carruthers, who stated that it's a first step that's really long overdue, and these are my words, but I think this step is going to pull all of America forward. And it's really critical that we take that first step. So I am humbly going to vote yes, again.
Thank you, Alderman Nguyen. We're going to go with Alderman Ravel, then Alderman Rainey.
Well, I want to add my thanks to Alderman Ruth Simmons for her amazing leadership on this. And as Alderman Nguyen just said, not only leading us, but making us believe. And I really appreciate the work of Alderman Rainey and Alderman Braithwaite assisting in getting us to this point. As many people tonight have said, this is tonight's vote is just one step, but it's one step in the right direction. And one thing that hasn't been emphasized enough, I think, is that the restorative housing program directly addresses the harm that was caused by decades of discriminatory practices here in Evanston, the redlining that made mortgages so hard to get, and the actions that were taken to limit the housing choices and the opportunities for our Black residents. But tonight's vote is not the end of the story at all. We as a community, and then the next Reparations Commission in particular, are going to continue to gather community input for the next investment of our reparations fund. But this Reparations Committee has done the hard work, listening to the community, consulting with reparations experts from around the country, examining Evanston's discriminatory history, and developing a program of repair that responds to that history. So now it's our job, the full City Council, it's our turn to do our part and vote and to authorize the implementation of Evanston's Reparations Restorative Housing Program and the program budget. And I'm really delighted to be able to join my colleagues in giving my support tonight.
Thank you, Alderman Ravel. Alderman Rainey.
Well, one of the most brilliant things about Alderman Simmons is not only did she bring us all along, but she has reached out to the nation and she's brought them along. The endorsement, when I hear people locally saying that this is not reparations, yet the national leaders of reparation across this country are saying, oh, yes, it is, and they are endorsing it, and in fact, supporting it 100%, I have to go with them. And she has shined a light on this program to the extent that the other evening, when we were discussing putting some final touches on it, we had to hang up because she was being interviewed by the Russian press. And the Russian press was calling from Russia, not from New York. The same day we were being interviewed by Nikki, the most important Japanese business press. Reuters was in town with a photographer and a reporter mean, people all over the world have been drawn to this city because of her efforts, literally because of her efforts, going to National League of Cities, going to different universities, speaking, receiving awards. That is why we are where we are today. And so really, that's why we're here. And that's why we need to support this. There is nothing that says the next $5 million we get in cannabis tax will not be afforded to housing repair. There's nothing that says that. We just had to take this first step quickly so that people know that we're doing a reparations program. We're just the first tiny baby step. And so let's move forward. We're very excited tonight. You have no idea how important this vote is.
Great. Thank you, Alderman Rainey. Any other discussion? Alderwoman Fleming.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to all the people that came out. I appreciate Carla Sutton pointing out that we had more people tonight than we usually do. So I appreciate people coming. Hopefully they will continue to come because we vote on important stuff all the time. So as probably people are not surprised, I'm going to take a different position here. Even as a Black woman, I know that Pastor Neighbors and others, not on this call necessarily, have talked about their frustration when Black people disagree in public. And I think Black people have the right to disagree in public. We are multifaceted people like all others. And so I do have a different opinion tonight. I did write it down to try to make sure I'm concise. So I would just say, I'm going to read my statement. I want to be really clear. As a Black woman, I am 100% in support of reparations, as all people who spoke tonight. And I think, so many more we haven't heard from. I come from 3 different Black family legacies here in Evanston, who have all suffered here in Evanston, and I'm sure in Abbeville and Atlanta, where they came from before here. I'm one of many families across the country who have suffered for my race. Reparations is long overdue on the federal level, and even as we look forward to the municipal level. What we have before us tonight, I will counter, is the housing plan with the title reparations. I think we understand, or people do understand, that the definition of true reparations and its main goal is to repair harm. And while we're talking about doing that based on the report of Gino and so many others regarding redlining, I think what we are missing here is allowing the people to dictate the terms of how they are repaired. Although we don't have other municipal reparations to draw from for our solution is offered, we do have other national and international policies that show reparations being handled in a different way. So I think the concern that I have, I don't share this with everyone, but I've heard from a lot of people who we did not hear from tonight, is that rather than this reparations dictating to Black people what they need and how they will receive it, we need to listen more to the people. So this isn't change that we might think it's going to be. I do have concerns as a government that we are projecting something into the nation as a bright light that might be very dim for other people. As we heard Mr. Berger talk about in his legacy, I think in Mississippi, there's no way that he would encourage his family, who have really received direct racial harm and lynching and things, to accept this if his city of Mississippi, or his state of Mississippi rather, wanted to bring forward a housing policy and say it was reparations for all the terror. I think this being a national model concerns me a bit because of the limitations, even if it's the first $400,000, because people don't always come back to see what happens at the end. So as reparations in name, my concern, as well as other people I've heard from, is that there is no autonomy for the community that was harmed. Instead of cash payments or other options that respect the humanity and self-determination of Black people and allow them to determine how best to repair themselves, the housing program is restrictive. The money goes straight to banks or contractors or other lenders. Many people feel the proposed program is being rushed to a vote. Despite community members who have come forward, despite 2 years of conversation, as we know in this dais, people don't usually pay attention until things are coming to a vote. And so that people did not hear about this some people did not hear about this proposal until last week, and it's up tonight for action and not introduction as many other things. Community feels like they're being harmed and not being listened to, as we saw tonight with only the 1 minute of public comment and the mayor having to cut lots of people off. I do have 3 reasons that I want to give quickly about my real concrete concerns. Although we're the first municipality to attempt reparative actions, we have to use, historical practices provide a framework for reparative compensation. As Alderman Rainey mentioned, there are professors and experts who have been consulted, but they don't even all agree since this is the first time. And in no instance, looking at those historical practices, have people been denied cash payments or the opportunity to decide how the repair will be managed. This practice alone can be based in what some might call white paternalistic narratives, where Black people aren't able to manage their own money. Second, the proposal does feel rushed based on the election season that's ahead of us. The passage for this framework is not being dictated by people rushing us. It's not being dictated by law, and it's not being dictated in terms of how we need to use this money. People have waited 100 years for reparations, so waiting just another couple of weeks or another month, even for a new committee to sit down and fill in the gaps that people have brought up, does not harm us. And then my other concern is that while we're telling people and while we say and we know, we hope $96 million more dollars are going to come in, and this is only one plan, I think without having a long-term framework in place, even a proposal, we're asking people who we have admittedly disenfranchised and not listened to for years to believe us that more is coming. And that can cause a lot of panic in the community instead of trust. I think without a feasibility study, starting at $25,000, though I know many people would love to have it, including people in my family, I'm concerned with setting the bar that high. So each next program, we would have to justify why we're not at $25,000. And I think once we get to $10 million, just doing the math, that leaves us just under 500 people to be able to repair. I think, hearing voices, and we all know that everyone doesn't come to council. I'm concerned about mistrust that we're amplifying by giving national news coverage and press pieces, people talking about this being historic and precedent setting, again, without really taking the time to slow down to make sure everyone who wants to have input can do so past the 1 minute we have tonight. I think lastly, I would just say that, as I mentioned before, my family, like many other Black families which make us special, have been here since the early 1900s. My great-grandfather was able to buy a quarter block of a street, which was a lot, obviously, in that time. So he did overcome redlining and other discriminatory practices. We hear about people like Bennett and others who talk about their homes who being moved across the canal. So no one is debating that harm was done in housing. I think the question is, because the harm was done in housing, does the repair ultimately need to go to banks or mortgage lenders? Can the repair not go to people who face the harm? I think someone mentioned, and I used the example of, here in city council, we face lots of lawsuits. The lawyers and judges tell us what to pay, and we pay people. We don't tell the people we're paying how to use their funds. We respect them to be able to do that. So I suggest that we start prioritizing people we've heard here, people who we haven't heard here. I mean, we've spent 10 years talking about Harley Clark. No one wants to do that again. No one thinks that was good public policy. But to say that because this has been talked about for 2 years, a committee met for 1 year during a pandemic, that there's been enough time, I think is not, again, necessarily gaining the trust of the folks we're trying to repair. So what I would suggest is that we take this plan back to the community, that we allow people to have input, whether it's a Zoom call or whatever it might be, that we really look at some real community engagement efforts best we can do in this pandemic. I think that we should reflect on reparations symbolizes in terms of healing. I think we can be creative and careful and intentional with this work. I think we can think bigger because the nation's eyes are on us. I think we can give the nation and our community something that we respect and we admire and we want them to replicate. And I think more so, we really have to be worried about what this does to our community in terms of further trust. We all know this is how Evanston operates. Groups pop up, people come, they argue, they don't like what we're doing. I'm not naive to think that everyone's going to like this, but I do think that giving people more time to give input, even if we come back with the same proposal, bridges the gap that I'm seeing develop in our community. So it is with my own personal conviction and obligation to folks who came before me and a commitment to good government that I am fortunately going to vote against this proposal. So I do believe in reparations. I just think we can do better with our first proposal or first initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman Fleming. Alderman Sufferman.
Thank you. And Alderman Ruth Simmons, it's crazy that you and Cicely and I all got elected together. And in the before times, we sat next to each other and we had a lot of conversations. And I remember the conversation we had when you had called me to tell me that you had decided not to run again. And we reflected on the past 4 years. So I just want to start with echoing what's been said, talking about your vision and your work and how much that's appreciated. And I also want to say that I hear and appreciate what Alderman Fleming just said, and that's her lived experience in Evanston. You have your lived experience, I have mine. We all grew up around the same time in the same town, very different ways, very similar ways too. So on this, I think it's not even, and you've talked about this isn't the finish line. This isn't even really the starting line, right? The real challenge is going to be one, overcoming the legal challenge that we were going to see no matter what. We knew that. That's part of doing bold, progressive things, that there are people not from here who are going to challenge them. We're looking to the national movement and the place that Evanston's going to take, and what a great thing this is for the city of Evanston, and that's fantastic. But the real measure of the success of this program is how Black Evanstonians feel about it, and not just collectively, because we've talked about how there are people are individuals, but the people who are saying that this isn't adequate for them, how do we bring them in for the next 96% of what we committed so far, and how do we grow beyond that? And I know you're committed to that. I'm committed to that as well. I think, to Alderman Fleming's point, it's not appropriate to diminish the concerns that are brought by people by saying that it's a small group of people. The fact that they have the concerns, and particularly for white Evanstonians and white elected officials, it's not our place at all to say that any concerns that are being expressed are inappropriate. So I hope that as we move forward, we'll have a more inclusive process. It's something that we're working at all levels of this government. It's something that we always talk about, is making sure that people here feel heard. And on this particular issue, it's really important that people are heard. And I know you're committed to that as well. I think that, we can always be more transparent and inclusive, but I also think no matter how many meetings there are, people will always say that there were not enough meetings, or that they didn't happen at a time or place that was convenient. So we need to work to overcome that in all aspects of government, particularly with this. I think that the Open Meetings Act violation was inadvertent. I don't think that it was malicious. I think we should all see best intentions going forward. There's nobody who loves Evanston who's not invested in the success of this program. So that's something that we need to work on. We need to work on funding this more fully, as Alderman Fleming said, and as was brought up, $10 million will not be enough. What are we going to do for the next part of that? What are we going to do for the next phase? We told people that this is just the first part, and now we need to come up with the next parts. And we need to hear from people what they want those next parts to be. Because as was said, repair really needs to be tailored and defined by the person being repaired. So I'm going to vote yes on this. It's not a change of heart. My initial concern when I voted no was that there was no plan. I think that we have a framework of a plan now. We saw some of the things that could have been avoided by having a stronger plan on the front end, but I applaud all the work that was done. But the real challenge going forward for the city is to create a better culture overall beyond just reparations. Because no matter what, even with this $400,000, it's important to point out that this council will have paid out more to settle discrimination lawsuits than we will have paid in reparations. And that's something that has to change going forward. How our city's culture is, how our city government operates. It's all about making Evanston a better place for everyone to live here. This is an important part of that. It's a first step. And I applaud everyone who put the work in, and I look forward to doing the work that's yet to come.
Thank you, Alderman Sufferton. Let's see, Alderman Braithwaite. I think everybody's spoken, so we'll wrap it with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And I want to start off by thanking all of our residents who came out to speak, particularly those that have participated in our early community meetings, who have participated in the ward meetings that have stretched all across our wonderful city, and those who've been faithful by attending the subcommittee meetings. It's pretty damn hard to purchase a house without a bank. And I'll start off by addressing Alderman Fleming by saying we see what your vision for our community looks like by the selections that Opal had made for the new council. We have heard in many forums what those members have stated in terms of their vision for a new government. And now I want to just thank our current city council members, who I think over the last 4 years, we have really learned, and some may even say we have been forced to work together, particularly on a very historic vote like this. History will be noted tonight, everyone's position. And I realize that we are all voted by our residents in the ward, but we all know through working together, we make decisions that have an impact citywide. And I just want to say thank you all very much. I also want to quickly thank our staff. I think it's worth repeating. Kimberly Richardson, Nick Cummings in our legal department, Tashik Kerr, all under the leadership of Erica Storley. I also want to acknowledge our Equity and Empowerment Committee for the wonderful work that you have done to lay the tracks. I also want to acknowledge, and Alderman Simmons said the same thing, our national advisors, NARC and COBRA. And finally, I want to thank Alderman Simmons, who I've had the pleasure of working with 2 years prior to joining City Council, 4 years representing the 2nd and 5th Ward, very strong, for your bold leadership, your consistent dedication, not only to your ward, Black community, as well as citywide with your other initiatives. You are an amazing woman, and I also stand in awe of your achievement. If I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge also Lionel Jean-Baptiste and the work of Alderman Holmes. And then I want to also just remind everyone as we are getting ready to take this bold historic step, this vote is, again, it symbolizes our first step, 6% of $10 million. Some may ask, what does the next step look like? And I'm proud to share that in addition to just one dispensary contributing towards $10 million, we can anticipate with the state that we will add at least 3 additional dispensaries to our city of Evanston that will increase the velocity of funding. Some may ask, what is the next step? I'm proud to share that we also have received support from a number of our businesses and private residents and the faith community to help increase the velocity of this repair. Some may ask, what is the next step? I'm pleased to announce that we have a partnership with our Evanston Community Foundation that is going to continue to attract public and private dollars that will long outlive the $10 million that we have budgeted within this ordinance. It is clear through our discussions for those that have attended our town halls as well as our subcommittee. There are many people, Judge Lionel Jean-Baptiste, there's Dino Robinson, and also Pastor Neighbors. We are building out a community group based on our historic Black organizations that will help to harness, listen, and respond to the many allies as well as members of our Black community that are going to bring forward other ideas for repairs, which will include cash payments. I just want to thank you all, the members of our community who have stood strong. Again, our city council who will vote. And I just want to thank you again, Alderman Simmons, for your leadership on this whole initiative. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Alderman Braithwaite. I think we are ready to, I guess we're not ready to take a vote. Alderman Fleming.
I will be ready, but I do need to address, I think Alderman Braithwaite's comment, unfortunately, was out of line. My vote on this dais for this topic has to do with exactly what I read and will happily share with whoever's interested. So I know that this whole narrative is flying around that somehow or another I'm trying to single-handedly change the form of government, and anyone who knows anything about that knows that that's a referendum vote for the citizens. So whoever was on the call with NAACP that I was not part of, who participated in that, was their own individual person. If I could control the world like I wish I could, I would do that without having to spend 6 nights on Monday at the computer. So I appreciate your concern about who I support. I appreciate the fear that draws up for you. But the citizens of Evanston will be the ones to decide if there's any change of government, not Cicely Fleming.
All right. So I think we are ready to take a vote now. And what I'd like to do, because we've had a long discussion about this, is Alderman Ruth Simmons, it was moved by you and seconded, but before Clerk Reed takes the vote, could you just reread SP3.
Absolutely. SP3, adoption of resolution 37R27, authorizing the implementation of the Evanston Local Reparation Restorative Housing Programs and Program Budget. The Reparations Subcommittee recommends City Council adopt resolution 37R21 to authorize the implementation of the Local Reparation Restorative Housing Program and the initial program budget of $400,000. Funding will be provided by the Local Reparation Fund. I move approval.
Second.
All right. City Clerk, could you please take the roll on this historic vote tonight? You're muted, Devon.
Yes, may I call the roll out of order?
No, I think.
Alderman Fisk.
Yeah.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Suffredin.
Aye.
Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
And Alderman Fleming.
No.
All right. So on a 8-1 vote, the Evanston City Council approved adoption of Resolution 37-R-27, authorizing the implementation of the Evanston Local Reparations Restorative Housing Program and Program Budget. Again, this is the first 4% of the 10 million. It is an important but a small first step. And I think the discussion this evening and the voices on all the different sides of this issue was a valuable one. There's a lot of work to be done. And my expectation is the reparations committee will continue to be a intent committee and continue to get feedback and input from all Evanstonians that want to be involved in this process. So thank you everyone for all the hard work to get us to this point. We're now going to move on to the consent agenda this evening. We did have Administration and Public Works and Planning and Development committee meetings prior to the council meeting tonight. So I'm going to ask Alderman if you will take a minute and identify any items that you would like to pull off the consent agenda.
A15, please.
P5.
A15, what was that?
P5.
P5, okay.
Mr. Mayor, could you also please pull off P2? This one will be for intro and action, but it was not noticed as such.
All right, P2. All right.
And Mayor, at the APW meeting, there was some questions that came up about A19 that I told the committee I would address at council.
Okay, so we'll take A19 off. Okay. Any other items? Has everyone had enough time? Alderman Rainey, you need a little more time, Alderman? You're muted, Ann, if you're talking. I can't hear you.
Yes. 28021. PD2.
PD2 off.
Okay. It's for introduction and action. So we need to suspend the rules.
Okay, somebody took P2 off already,
Okay.
right? So that's already off. So we'll handle that off agenda. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, could you read the whole list of what are taken off?
So right now we have in order A15, item A15, item A19, P as in planning and development 2, and then P5. Okay, not hearing Anything else? Alderman Suffredin, could you move the consent agenda less those items for a vote?
I paid no attention to what got pulled off. So I'll.
I was only, so no worries about that, Tom.
The consent agenda, absent the pulled off by members of the Evanston City Council.
Yeah, I can move. Okay, so you're moving the consent agenda, less items A15, A19, P2, and P5.
Yes, sir.
Second.
All right, and there was seconded. All right, seeing no discussion, City Clerk, could you please take the roll on the consent agenda?
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Suffredin.
Aye.
Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
And Alderman Fleming.
Aye.
Thank you, Clerk. The consent agenda passes the Evanston City Council on a 9-0 vote. Alderman Suffredin, could you please move A15?
Sure. I move approval of item number A15, which is an adoption of Resolution 38R21 in support of the passage of the Clean Energy Jobs Act by the legislature of the state of Illinois. Staff recommends City Council adopt Resolution 38R21 in support of the passage of the Clean Energy Jobs Act by the state of Illinois. This is for action.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, this item's open for discussion. This is A15.
Alderman Ruth Simmons, who may not be available, had.
I'm available.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Hey.
I'm sorry. Are we at A15?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about the delay. I wanted to, well, let me read it first. A15, adoption of Resolution 38R21 in support of the passage of the Clean Energy Jobs Act by the legislature of the state of Illinois. Staff recommends City Council adopt the resolution in support of the passage of the Clean Energy Jobs Act by the state of Illinois. I move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all right. So
Thank
this
you.
item's now open for discussion.
And I removed this one, because I wanted to thank the Citizens Greener Evanston for all that you do. You do so much for us, and I've personally been educated by CGE. But this initiative actually came recently under the leadership of Citizens Greener Evanston, and specifically Jerry Hurst, Joel Freeman, Lauren Marquez Viso, and Rachel Rosner. And we just want to thank you for all that you do to keep our natural environment and our natural assets rich and vibrant and healthy. I was asked to read the resolution, and I am going to do that. Let me see what page it's on. 1 second. Okay, I just had it. I think it was page 266, maybe. Yes, it is 266. Second. Here we go. Okay. Sorry. Resolution 38R21. Whereas in 2016, the state of Illinois passed the Future Energy Jobs Act, allowing the creation of an investment into an equitable and just transition for a clean and renewable energy future. And whereas in 2018, the city of Evanston passed its Climate Action and Resilience Plan, CARP, thanks to Mayor Haggerty and so many residents in the committee, which called for 100% renewable energy by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2050. And whereas in September 2020, the city of Evanston passed Resolution 72R20 to support environmental justice, which is a step in addressing the inequities pointed out in both the Evanston Climate Action Resilient Plan and the Illinois Clean Energy Jobs Act. And whereas in the spring of 2019, the Clean Energy Jobs Act was introduced and aims to achieve the entire state many of the same goals enumerated in Evanston's Climate Action and Resilience Plan to bring these benefits to the entire state. And whereas passage of the Clean Energy Jobs Act will advance the efforts of the city of Evanston to achieve the goals we set out in passing our own Climate Action and Resilience Plan. Be it resolved, the City Council of City of Evanston call the Governor of the State of Illinois and the General Assembly to pass the Clean Energy Jobs Act. And thank you again to CGE, and thank you to the environmental community for all that you have done. Thank you to Kumar for preparing this resolution as well.
Thank you, Alderwoman Ruth Simmons. Seeing no further discussion on this item, it's been moved and seconded. City Clerk, could you please take the roll on A15, the Clean Energy Job Act resolution?
Yes, Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton.
Aye.
Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
And Alderman Fleming.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Clerk. A15, adoption of Resolution 38-R-21 in support of the passage of the Clean Energy Jobs Act by the legislature of the state of Illinois passes the Evanston City Council on a 9-0 vote. Alderman,
Mayor?
yes.
Real quick, to a little housekeeping thing that we should go back and do. We didn't do suspension of the rules for A18 and A20, which were on the consent agenda. So I move that we suspend the rules to allow us to act and introduce A18 and A20 on that consent agenda.
Second.
There's a second.
As well as A19, Alderman Wilson.
We took A19 off the agenda. Yeah. So, all right. So on A18 and A20, it was moved to suspend the rules to allow for introduction and action, and seconded. Seeing no conversation, City Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton.
Aye.
Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
And Alderman Fleming.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Clerk. On a 9-0 vote, the Evanston City Council agreed to suspend the rules and allow for action and introduction for items A18 and A20. All right, thank you. Alderman Sufferton, could you move A19?
Sure. I move item A19, ordinance 25021, amending the city code to increase the number of Class J liquor licenses from 2 to 3 for Double Clutch Brewing Company, LLC, doing business as Double Clutch Brewing Company, 2121 Ashland Avenue. This is for introduction and action.
Second.
All right, any discussion on this?
We were going to get a report from Nick.
Did you?
Oh, this was the one we had some questions. Okay, well, welcome, Nick.
Good evening, Mayor, members, City Council, Clerk Reed, Nicholas Cummings, Deputy City Attorney. A19 came up at the APW committee meeting regarding the nature of this license. It's my understanding it is a conditional license under 3-4-3B of the city code for the liquor license, which allows a license to be issued if they meet all the other criteria except for the fingerprint portion. And as long as once they get the fingerprint portion, if they don't pass that, they cannot get an annual license. But this is not for an annual license, it is for a conditional license.
And Nick, my understanding from the liquor board meeting is that the state has suspended right now doing fingerprinting because of the pandemic, and that's why it's a conditional license. Otherwise, they would have been fingerprinted, had the background checks done, and they would have a traditional license, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
But they are going to get fingerprinted and checked, background checks.
As soon as we're allowed to start fingerprinting, yes.
That's all I wanted to know.
Got it. Thank you. And then this is on the agenda, I believe, for introduction and action this evening. Okay. Seeing no further discussion on this item, City Clerk, could you please take the roll on 19?
So should we
I think we need the motion. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, so I move that we suspend the rules on 819.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Can you take the roll on that motion to suspend rules, allow for action, and introduction and action?
Yes. Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton.
Aye.
Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
And Alderman Fleming.
Aye.
All right. So in a 9-0 vote, the rule has been suspended, allowing this item to be for introduction and action. It was moved and seconded. City Clerk, you take the roll on the item A19, which is a temporary or provisional liquor license for Double Clutch.
I thought we just voted on that.
That was
Now it's on the
suspension of the rules. Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton.
Aye.
Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
And Alderman Fleming.
Aye.
All right. A19 Ordinance 25-0-21, amending the city code to increase the number of Class J liquor licenses from 2 to 3 for Double Clutch Brewing Company, LLC, doing business as Double Clutch Brewing Company at 2121 Ashland Avenue, passes the Evanston City Council on a 9-0 vote. We're now going to move to the Planning and Development Committee. Alderman Fisk is the chair. Could you please move P2, Alderman?
Sure. It's ordinance 28021, granting a special use permit for a type 2 restaurant, Ollie's Halal Eatery at 955 Howard Street in the B2 Business District. And I move to suspend the rules for introduction and passage tonight.
Second.
Okay. Any conversation, discussion on this item? All right. Seeing none, could you, Alderman Fisk, just move the motion to suspend the rules to allow for action and introduction?
I did that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
City Clerk, then could you please take the roll?
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton.
Aye.
Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
And Alderman Fleming.
Aye.
All right. So now I'm a little confused. Was that just the
motion to suspend and then now the actual?
Now we got to. All right. So now can you move the whole
Yes. I move adoption of ordinance 28021.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing no hands, City Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Yes. Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Sufferton.
Aye.
Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
And Alderman Fleming.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Clerk. So on a 9-0 vote, the Evanston City Council passes PD2 Ordinance 28-0-21, granting a special use permit for a type 2 restaurant, Allie's Halal Eatery at 955 Howard Street in the B2 Business District. And this passed for introduction and action this evening. Alderman Fisk, could you please move P5?
It's ordinance 13021, a zoning text amendment to permit the establishment and regulation of efficiency homes. It's on for action. I move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. This is open for discussion. Alderman Fisk?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to this. I wanted to thank staff for their memo explaining about how complicated noticing would be for this. That's very helpful. It's important that we ask questions, especially when that part of the Plan Commission video was inaccessible. I don't know why it didn't happen, but it didn't happen. So I'm glad we took the time to take a look at this. This is a good explanation for everyone. And as I said at the beginning of this, I absolutely support efficiency homes. And so thank you, Johanna, and your team.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other comments or questions on this item? All right, seeing none, PD5, the ordinance on efficiency homes was moved and seconded. City Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Suffredin.
Aye.
Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
And Alderman Fleming.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Clerk. On a 9-0 vote, the Evanston City Council just passed PD5, Ordinance 13-0-21, a zoning text amendment to permit the establishment and regulation of efficiency homes. This too is a big, important item that was passed unanimously tonight. And I want to thank everyone at the city and other supporters and advocates for this, for all of your work over the last many months. We're now going to move to call all the wards. So we will start with Alderman Fisk tonight.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I feel really good about what we did tonight, and I'm going to enjoy smiling about that for a while. And again, thank you, Alderman Ruth Simmons. I'm just incredibly proud of you and the work that your committee has done. I'd like to turn our attention a little bit to training for our boards and commissions. I've had, I think, become more aware this week that maybe we need to put a little bit more time and effort into training some of our boards. And I'm hopeful that we can develop a program that really does do that, not just when people come on the boards, but also maybe during the year, as a little reminder of how our boards and commissions work. I'm absolutely understanding that we're all working from home and it creates an entirely different sort of environment in which to be working, but it's very important that our boards and commissions, I think, put forth a professional response, especially in those meetings where residents have to appear and ask the boards for support. So I'm going to refer that to staff, and that's all I think I have for tonight. So thank you all again. I really appreciate you all, and we did it. I feel good. So again, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Fisk. We're going to move now to the second ward, Alderman Braithwaite.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, as well as all of our residents who came out to speak and participated in all the steps to get here to this point. I think even with some of the confusion, tonight's vote did create a moment of clarity. And I invite you all back to our meetings and looking forward to embracing you into the new structure as we continue to move forward. There's so much work that's ahead of us, and the only way we can do that is truly with your participation. So I extend a thank you and an invitation to join us at our next what will now be our reparations committee moving forward. And Alderman Simmons, I'm just gonna share, I hope that you take a moment to shed some light on the most recent announcement this evening and speak a little bit about that partnership. I will.
Why don't you or Alderman Rainey?
No, I think that honor is all yours. But again, thank you to members of our city council. Bold move today, all of you that supported the efforts. I cannot thank you enough, and thank you very much. And Clerk Reed, I don't think we acknowledge the clerk's office for your initial work in moving this forward, working closely with our town historian, Dino Robinson. A lot of thank yous to pass around. Good night.
Thank you, Alderman Braithwaite. Alderman Nguyen.
Well, I will add to that. Dino Robinson and Jenny Thompson at the Evanston History Center did so much work that laid the groundwork for this, that the city can document the harm done in the housing area. And once again, I say to everyone, take time to read the document they produced. I really think it should be part of the curriculum that we teach our Evanston school children so they understand the true history of our city. But I do want to say I am very proud of what we voted on tonight. And again, I thank the committee members and the city staff for that. My 28-year-old son who lives in San Francisco texted me a screenshot that was sent to him within a minute of when we voted. It was sent to him by a friend of his, another ETHS grad, from the Washington Post, that we had just passed reparations. So it was the vote that's being heard across the country, and we have the proof now. So I think there are a lot of our Evanstonians who are out there. You're never really not an Evanstonian, and they're watching us tonight.
Thank you, Alderman Nguyen. That's either the fastest reporter, or maybe they had written some stuff before time. Let's see, Alderman Wilson.
Thank you. And I, like everyone else, am very proud of the work that's been done. It's one thing to resolve to do something. It's another thing to actually take the steps and affirmatively move forward with it. And as I think has already been expressed, there is a lot of work to be done, but you can't get anything done if you don't take that first step. So thank you to everyone for all of the hard work, effort, and time and energy. And I look forward to seeing where this goes. I think we are well positioned to keep this moving forward and continue to do great things. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Ruth Simmons.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that. Again, thank you to everyone. And Alderman Braithwaite, thank you for not letting us forget the clerk's role was actually the first request for our historic policies to lead us in the direction. So thank you, Clerk Reed, for all that you have done to support us to this point. And everybody's right. All the comments, no one is wrong. The pain is real. It's not enough. It's very frustrating. And I think that our community is not only on a road to repair, but also healing as well, as we begin to share these stories and learn from one another. And I believe that with the new committee and the new city council, that we will work forward together and build on the work. One thing that Alderman Braithwaite was mentioning is there are partners near and far that are satisfied with the direction and the leadership of this city council. And there is an organization that reached out to us that wanted to contribute funding for a pilot of cash benefit, unrestricted cash benefit programming. And they have done so. That program has actually launched today. There should be more information forthcoming, but it is, we'll be sure to share it somewhere. I don't know, I'll share it on social pages. But thank you to let me get the name right, because they have a few different names. It's not the economic. Alderman Braithwaite, give me the right name. And Alderman Rainey?
The Family Initiative.
Thank you. So it is an organization that has a commitment to cash benefit programming, and they have set aside a small fund for us to give, 25 Black residents that qualify under our regular reparation guidelines, $300 a month unrestricted. And it is a start. This is different than our Good Neighbor Grant. It's totally different. It is not our program, it's their program, but they have offered this extension to Evanston residents that qualify for reparations. So I wanted to add that. And then also bring up, there was talk about, the new committee and a new process, and everyone has been heard. Judge Lionel Jean-Baptiste has introduced some time ago what is a very engaged process for deliberating on proposals going forward. And our deputy city manager has a great model similar to participatory budgeting, which would allow for stakeholders specifically to engage in this process a little more efficiently than we did over the last 2 years. So look for more information on that once you get your new reparation committee and your new city council. And then I want to extend heartfelt condolences and love to the families of DeMarcus and Jose Francisco Sanchez Guerrero, sending love and condolences to the family and to our entire ward. It impacts us all. So thank you to our chief cook and staff for all that you have done to expeditiously work to solve these crimes. And that is my report. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Alderman Ruth Simmons. Alderman Suffolk.
Just two things. One, I'd like to acknowledge that Jerry Michael, the principal of Willard Elementary School, will be moving on, and thank him for his service. He's been a great principal at the school for a very long time. And I would just like to draw the attention of the community who has concerns about the referendum process to page 31 of the June 4th, 2018 rules packet. It outlines the referendum process. Alderman Fleming is correct, Alderman Braithwaite. It is a referendum, and it would be voted on by the residents. Mayor Haggerty, I think also you could reference that. That particular memo was in reference to a referral that Alderman Rainey had made about replacing the clerk with an appointed position, but it's relevant. And the important thing to remember is referendums are voted on by the citizens at a regularly scheduled election.
And city council members can put binding referendums onto the ballot for the voters.
For the voters to vote on at a regularly scheduled election.
Correct. Put on by the city council members, right?
And the citizens to whom the government belongs would vote on those items.
Correct. Alderman Ravel.
Well, just very briefly, add my thanks to the many residents we heard from tonight. Just such wonderful, heartfelt comments really on all sides of the reparations issue. And it's really wonderful to hear from everyone. And my thanks again to Alderman Simmons, Alderman Braithwaite, Alderman Rainey for their wonderful work to get us to this point tonight for us to be able to take this historic vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Rainey.
Thank you to everybody who came out tonight. This might be a historic occasion additionally because of the number of people attending our Zoom meeting. I've never seen this many people before. And thank you to the committee and to all the staff people who worked so hard and to the council members who supported this. Nina Caven, I got a bing on my phone. Nina Caven reported that there was a friend of hers in Amherst at a council meeting in Amherst, Massachusetts, whose city manager reported tonight that the Evanston City Council voted yes on this matter tonight. So I mean, it was from California to Massachusetts. Everybody knows about it. I thought that was interesting. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Fleming.
Thank you. I have a warding meeting tomorrow. I think it's at 6. It will be in the obviously on Zoom, so you can find that online. Also, I do want to agree with Alderman Ruth Simmons. I think everyone was right. Everyone has their own perspective. Everyone has their own experience. Everyone has obviously their own opinion as to what's right, what we should do, and that is what we see at almost every vote, particularly big votes here in Evanston. So hopefully we can all respect that and allow people to have their own opinion. I think the only other thing that I wanted to add was that I do want to encourage people who don't agree or who don't agree with what happened tonight to apply to be on the preparation subcommittee, because we do need different voice and we do need everybody to participate. But if you don't, for whatever reason, your voice still matters, even if it comes in the midnight hour on the night we're going to vote. I don't want to discourage people that think that doing that has no place and the fix is already in. So please continue to participate and pay attention and vote, which early voting is already open. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman Fleming. And Kimberly Richardson, I'm really glad that Alderwoman Fleming brought that up. The deadline for the Reparations Committee is that March 31st?
Correct.
March 31st. So if you're watching this or talking to people that are interested in applying for the committee, March 31st is the deadline. We are already getting lots of applications, which is wonderful. So thank you, everyone. It was a big night here in Evanston. A lot of things. The most notable, obviously, being reparations, the first step in reparations here, but lots of other important items that this city council passed. So thank you for everybody's hard work and everyone's leadership and everyone's participation. I am going to ask if there is a motion to adjourn this meeting. There is no executive session this evening.
So moved.
Second.
All right. City Clerk, could you please take the roll to adjourn the meeting?
Yes. Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Ruth Simmons.
Aye.
Alderman Suffredin. Alderman Ravel.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
And Alderman Fleming.
Aye.
All right. On a 9-0 vote, the Evanston City Council is adjourned. Our next meeting will be on Monday, April 12th. Please remember, early voting has started. Local elections for school board, municipal offices is on Tuesday, April 6th. Please get out there and vote. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, Steve.